Chapter 76. Evan observed the city through perception magic and recognized it as the City of Night. That's right, that's where the story in Cyberpunk 2077 takes place. There is no supernatural power in this world, it is a purely near-future technological world. The technology in this world is relatively advanced, especially the prosthetic implant technology. With the existence of this technology, human limbs and organs can be replaced by machines. Generally speaking, healthy people rarely take the initiative to self-mutilate and undergo prosthetic transformation. There are only a few people who can undergo full-body prosthetic transformation, and the price is also very expensive, and ordinary people cannot afford it. Moreover, mechanical prosthetics lack the feelings that humans should have. If the whole body is transformed into a prosthesis, humans will lose all the feelings they should have. Many such people are crazy and are called cybermaniacs by people of this era. Night City is a city of evil. Terrorist attacks and crimes happen at any time. People living here, no matter how careful they are, may be suddenly affected and end up with severe disabilities. At this time, he had to accept the transformation of the prosthetic body. Generally speaking, when you come to a strange place, you need to find a base and a device that can connect to the internet, and then slowly plan the next course of action. Yelena said. Leave this matter to me. You can wander around the area first, but don't go too far. I will be back within 3 hours. After Evan finished speaking, he left alone. After watching Evan leave, Yelena and little Spider-Man wandered nearby together, browsing the scenery of Night City. Then, as expected, they met a group of people who were robbing people on the road. Yelena and little Spider-Man said they had no money, but the guys didn't believe it and wanted to do something. Yelena couldn't bear it anymore and took the lead in attacking. She knocked one person over her shoulder and broke another person's arm with a joint technique. The remaining guys, when they realize they are in trouble, draw their guns. At this time, little Spider-Man moved. Although little Spider-Man is not Spider-Man yet, his super ability is already there. From a common rational point of view, little Spider-Man seems to be an agile superhero, but this is not the case. In fact, he is still a powerful superhero. Although little Spider-Man is not yet at his peak, he still has tons of strength. Within 10 seconds after little Spider-Man took action, none of the gang of robbers could remain standing. Yelena was surprised by little Spider-Man's strength and speed. This is already in the category of super ability. Little handsome boy, I didn't expect you to be quite powerful. Little Spider-Man scratched his head in embarrassment. Although he was shy, he was able to pretend to be sexy in front of a beautiful woman and was praised by the other party. Little Spider-Man's vanity was satisfied. Yelena knelt down and found several pistols and a few small bills from the robbers, and put them away one by one. Ignoring this episode, the two continued to hang out. We encountered a robbery incident in broad daylight, but the passers-by around us seemed not surprised. This shows that similar things happen often in this city. It seems that this is a sinful city, and we are here. It's better to be careful. Don't worry, Miss Belova, I will definitely protect you, little Spider-Man assured, patting his chest. You are quite chivalrous. The two wandered around for a while, then returned to the place where they first came, waiting for Evan. Before long, I saw Evan walking from a distance carrying a handbag. I settled our identity issue, and also found a kind person to borrow some money. Let's go first, let's find a place to live. Evan led the two of them to a hotel not far away. Yelena, who was following him, looked at Evan in surprise. The other party can easily obtain identity and money in this unfamiliar place. He seems to be a very capable guy. The identity of the other party in reality is definitely not simple. The three checked into the hotel. After entering the room, Evan took out 3 tablet devices from his handbag and handed 2 of them to Yelena and little Spider-Man. This tablet was also sponsored by a kind person. Although it is not an advanced thing, but it can be used. Yelena thought to herself, the Good Samaritan you mentioned shouldn't have been robbed by you. She took the tablet from Evan and found that this thing was quite advanced, with a CPU clocked at 10 GHz, 128 GB of memory, and 1024 TB of storage. It even had an integrated graphics card, and the visual performance was more than 10 times better than the 4090 graphics card. Is this thing really a tablet? It is indeed the technology of the near-future era. A mere tablet has such a configuration. At the same time that the configuration is good, the battery life is also very good. The battery capacity above shows that this thing can continue to run for 21 days, and Jing K will tell you. Yelena sighed inwardly, and immediately stopped paying attention to the configuration of the tablet, and instead used it to search for information about the world online. Little Spider-Man also discovered the exaggerated configuration of this tablet and was shocked. After being stunned, he became excited. He even used it to download games from this world and started playing them. Evan sat on the sofa beside him, crossed his legs, and was surfing the internet with his tablet. Most of what he browsed was some technological information. In Evan's view, the implantable prosthetic technology in this world is still very valuable, such as brain-computer technology that can be called a portable system. Evan took out a USB flash drive equipped with Abigail's sub-program, inserted it into the tablet, and transferred Abigail's artificial intelligence program to the tablet to run. The smart program started successfully and followed Evan's instructions to start learning and downloading various technologies in this world. The technology of implantable prosthetics can not only be used to transform humans, but can also be applied to robots. Although this technology may not necessarily be more powerful than Abigail's using Terminator T-800 technology, it can supplement Abigail's deficiencies in other aspects and strengthen Abigail's lower limit of combat effectiveness. As I guessed before, this city is indeed a city of sin. It is not an officially managed city, but is ruled by a family company called Arezaka Company. The company's agents are spread throughout the city. And turning a blind eye to many evil incidents. 3.3, this has led to various mafia and cyber evil forces running rampant in the city. According to statistics, the number of abnormal deaths in the city every day is as high as 1,000, injured and newly emerged disabled people it is 3 times that number. Yelena told the information she found. Little Spider-Man was stunned. So many people die every day, why are there still so many people living in the city? Little Spider-Man was puzzled. There are many people who can't live in this world, and Night City is one of the best places for those who can't live. Although it is dark, it is also the place where the dream of Country M is easiest to realize. The poor are here. There are many cases of getting rich overnight. Every day there are many outsiders, constantly replenishing the population here. No matter how many people die in the city, the total population will only be a lot more. Yelena said with emotion. Chapter 77. Cyberpunk 2077. Night City. The time is 2062. Afternoon. Yelena is ready to go out. Little Spider-Man asked her where she was going. Yelena just said she was going out for a walk. In fact, she was planning to apply for a job at Arezaka Company. He had found a lot of information through the internet before. In Night City, only the technology mastered by Arezaka Company was available. The highest degree. There are also some unreliable rumors on the internet, saying that Saburo Arezaka of Arezaka Company has been pursuing cyber immortality and has achieved certain results. Today, Saburo Arezaka is 146 years old. Yelena decided to become a commercial spy, sneaking into Arezaka Company and stealing their cutting-edge technology. As a top agent from the Red House, Yelena is confident to go undercover and obtain their technical information, but this may require a period of lurking. After Yelena left, Little Spider-Man was a little at a loss. He asked Evan, "Mr. Evan, what should we do now?" According to the game panel, the time flow rate in this replica world is 365 times that of our world. In other words, if we live here for 1 year, only 1 day will pass in the world we come from. In other words, 08, we will have enough time to explore here. Don't you really want to bring back the prosthetic implant technology to benefit the disabled? Then work hard in this direction. Evan encouraged Little Spider-Man casually. Heroes need to grow up. I believe that Little Spider-Man can mature during this time in Cyberpunk 2077, so that Uncle Ben's death should be avoided. Evan is still very optimistic about Little Spider-Man. It is worth mentioning that the difference in time flow rate between this world and the Marvel world is not the result of game system adjustment, but that the time flow rate in this world is very fast. Little Spider-Man nodded seriously, "I know what to do." With his goal in mind, Little Spider-Man began to use that very advanced tablet computer to surf the internet, looking for a place where he could learn technology. There are some professional technical training schools in Night City, including a training center for prosthetic implant technology. The concept of these places is very similar to a technical school in a certain country. Those schools have no academic requirements, the only requirement is money. The truth is, create happiness with heart and learn NMB without money. Little Spider-Man has no money. He is a pauper whether in the real world or in the replica world. Throughout Little Spider-Man's life, he is either going bankrupt or on the road to bankruptcy. If little Spider-Man can get out of poverty and become rich, he may live forever. Evan saw little Spider-Man's embarrassment, so he kindly sponsored him with a sum of money. The money is not too much or too little, and little Spider-Man pays his tuition. There is no need to give too much money. Give too much, and little Spider-Man might become corrupted. You know, in Night City, certain color industries are very developed. What if little Spider-Man can't stand the temptation and falls? So just give me some tuition money and let little Spider-Man continue to be poor. A poor little Spider-Man is a complete little Spider-Man. Evan took time out to accompany little Spider-Man to a school in Night City to register, went through the admission procedures for him, and paid the tuition. From now on, little Spider-Man will be a day student here. He goes to school here during the day and goes back to Evan's place at night. The two places are not far apart, only a 20-minute walk. As a top student, little Spider-Man's ability to learn is still very strong. In addition, he has a good attitude towards learning. I believe that it won't be long before little Spider-Man can become a technical engineer with implantable prosthetics. After settling this matter, Evan left Night City and went to the suburban town of Laguna Bend. Recently, the town of Laguna Bend and the surrounding area were acquired by NC_Damco, Limited to convert the area into a reservoir. NC_Damco, Limited requires residents here to relocate or they will be flooded. The demolition fees they paid to the residents here were not much, and many people were unwilling to move and began to hold demonstrations. NC_Damco, Limited is not a good person. They have private mercenaries. Those who are unwilling to move out and make troubles are all secretly dealt with by them. Today, although there are still demonstrations in the town of Laguna Bend, they only dare to march to express their dissatisfaction. When Evan came here, what he saw was a massive parade. There are also reporters interviewing and reporting on the happenings here. Evan saw 3 people in the parade. One is his target, an 11-year-old girl, and the other 2 are the other person's grandfather and grandmother. That little girl is a character in the Cyberpunk 2077 story, named Judy Alvarez. Judy's past was mentioned in the story background of that game, and the content is roughly as follows. Judy Alvarez was born in Laguna Bend, a small town on the outskirts of Night City, and was raised by her grandparents. In 2062, when NC_Damco acquired the area near Laguna Bend in order to convert it into a reservoir, residents were forced to evacuate the town because the town would be flooded. Judy and her grandparents moved into an apartment in Night City, but after 2 years the grandparents left and moved further north, while Judy stayed and made it her own apartment. She ended up working at the Ritz bar as a Mutuo technician and editor. When players first came into contact with Mutuo in the game, Judy Alvarez was debugging the equipment and guiding it. It is now 2062, and Judy is only an 11 or 12-year-old girl. If history does not change, Judy will move to Night City with her grandparents soon. When Evan played that game in his previous life, his favorite female character was Judy. She was a very charming girl and a righteous girl. Due to various experiences in childhood, Judy grew up to be a simple, kind, and emotional person who lacked love. She hated evil people to the bone, stabbed her friends and found it difficult to trust strangers. Under her strong appearance, she had a fragile heart. Now that he has come to this world and this era, Evan definitely wants to get in touch with the 11-year-old little Judy, and by the way, he will be raised as a Lolita. Evan took the initiative to get to know Judy and her grandparents, and invited the 3 of them to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Evan started to cheat and said, "Judy, you look a lot like my late sister." In order to prove this lie, Evan took out his mobile phone, called up the photo album on his mobile phone and showed it to a few people. In fact, he quietly released the illusion on several people. The photos that the master saw on his mobile phone were what Evan let them see. Hallucination. In the hallucination, the photo displayed on the phone was of a girl who looked very similar to Judy but was slightly older. This girl was standing with Evan in the sun, smiling brightly. After the 3 of them finished reading, Evan put away his phone and said to the 3 of them, "Such a thing happened in the town of Laguna Bend. It is no longer possible to live in it. If you are willing, I can help and send you to Jersey City. The security there is very good, at least better than Night City. I can decide to give you a villa and let you live there. Are you helping us just because Judy looks like your late sister?" Judy's grandfather asked Evangelist. "Yes, I had a very good relationship with my sister. Her death brought me great regret. I thought I would never recover until I passed by here today and saw Judy. If possible, I would like to adopt Judy. Let her be my sister, and I promise to give her a better life. Evan's lies came out of his mouth as if they were true. But he didn't lie about how he could make Judy live a better life. Chapter 78. Judy didn't want to leave her grandparents, so she shook her head and refused. But her grandparents had to think about Judy's future. Obviously, Mr. Evan in front of me is a good person to entrust. The two looked at each other and already made their choice in their hearts. With Evan's help, Judy's family received demolition and resettlement funds from NC_Damco, Limited. Afterwards, Evan drove and took Judy's family out of Laguna Bend and headed to Jersey City. Where did Evan's car come from, you ask? He had several in his dark pocket. Arriving in Jersey City, Evan spent money to buy a quite spacious villa here and gave the villa to Judy, who was still only 11 years old. What? You asked Evan where the money came from? He has so many abilities, especially the psychic ability. Isn't it easy to get some money? Judy's grandfather and grandmother moved in here. Evan helped them move and stayed here for another night until the next morning. Evan said goodbye to Judy's grandparents and drove Judy out of New York. How should I call you from now on, brother? From now on, you are my sister. Should I change my last name? Need not. That's good. Judy didn't want to change her surname. She liked her current surname. She asked again, where are we going? To Night City. I heard that the security in Night City is very poor. It's quite bad, but you don't have to worry. When you get there, I will give you something to protect yourself. It feels like I sold myself to you. Judy complained. Then you have to be careful, maybe I will really sell you to a custom place. My value is not worth the villa you gave me. Judy is a very smart girl and was not frightened by Evan's words. I still don't know your specific identity and what you do. Yes, what does your family do? If you adopt me, will your family agree? You will gradually learn about me in the future. At 9 a.m. that day, Evan took Judy back to Night City. He did not take Judy to the hotel, but bought a villa near the hotel. Then he used the friend function of the Marvel game to tell Peter Parker and Yelena the address. This will be our home for a while in the future, Evan said. I thought you had a place to live here, instead of taking me to buy a new house. You could easily have some bad associations with me. For example. Evan didn't read Judy's mind. He wanted to know what the other party was thinking of. Perhaps your identity is very special and needs to be kept secret. Or maybe you are the illegitimate son of a big family and your identity must be kept secret, otherwise you will be in danger. Your idea is interesting, but neither of your guesses is the right answer. Then you are the gangster. Okay, stop guessing, let me give you a few things that you can use to protect yourself. Evan took out some magic props he made in his spare time, gave them to Judy, and taught her how to use them. Although these props are all magic props, they are disguised to look like technological products. For example, one of them looks like a mechanical watch and has the function of a watch, but its real function is to be a prop that can automatically divine fortune-telling and form a magic shield. The essence of automatic divination is to predict danger. When this mechanical watch predicts that danger will come, it will trigger the magic shield function and automatically form a magic shield around Judy. There are many similar props. With the equipment of these props, as long as Judy is not bombed by missiles or directly hit by nuclear bombs, then in Night City, she can use her strength to wave, and she will definitely not die anyway. Judy was stunned by this magical equipment. These things are so amazing. She now finally believes that Evan truly treats her like a sister, otherwise he would not have been able to give her so many good things for self-defense. At this moment, the uneasiness in her heart eased a lot. Thank you, Evangelist. At noon, Yelena followed the address Evan told her and came to the villa. Who is this little sister? Yelena asked Evan when she saw that there was an 11-year-old girl here. She is my sister Judy. Evan introduced her. Later, Evan introduced Yelena to Judy. Yelena is not a particularly curious person. In their line of work, if you are too curious, you often won't survive long, so Yelena did not ask where Evan's so-called sister came from. After lunch, Judy returned to the bedroom. In the living room, Evan casually asked Yelena a question that he already knew the answer to. Miss Yelena, you must be no ordinary person. Why do you ask that? Yelena raised her eyebrows. Because those who are selected into the Marvel superhero game are not ordinary people. Also, your temperament and characteristics remind me of a profession. If possible, I would like to ask you for a favor. If you want me to help you, tell me first, but I may not agree. Help me train Judy and teach her all your skills. What benefits can I get? Yelena did not refuse directly. A prop that can enhance your ability to protect yourself. Take it out and let me see it. Evan took out a prop and handed it to Yelena. The latter took it and looked at it. Its style is a metal card of file-size playing card. This is. If you put your own blood on it, you can understand its function. Yelena didn't quite believe it, but she did it anyway. When the card is dripped with blood, it automatically recognizes Yelena as its owner. The card conveyed some information to Yelena's mind, letting Yelena know what she could do with this card. This card is a magic card created by Evan. Although it is in the form of a card, the technology used is actually the same technology used to make magic scrolls, but it has been modified by Evan. It is not a disposable item, but a dragon that can be used multiple times. The energy that drives this card is not magic, but the user's vitality. It is also because of this that there are not many types of magic enchanted by the cards, and their effectiveness is not strong. Otherwise, if it is too strong, it will directly drain the user's vitality. The spells enchanted on the cards are D&D system tricks, that is, zero-level spells. These spells are not expensive, but they are very practical. Yelena tried the spell above and was sure it was effective. Although she was curious about how this thing worked, she didn't ask. Chapter 79. Time flies, time flies. 3 years have passed since Evan, Yelena, and Peter Parker arrived in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of things have happened in these 3 years, let's talk about them one by one. The first thing. Evan let the artificial intelligence Abigail learn all the technologies in the Cyberpunk 2077 world. In fact, Abigail had already learned everything in the first few days after she came into this world. Evan asked Abigail to find a place to build a cyber prosthetic laboratory in Night City, where Abigail could innovate based on implanted prosthetic technology. Although artificial intelligence robots do not have innovative capabilities, they are still far from Superman-like engineers in that they can only combine existing technologies to achieve stronger effects. After Abigail hacked all the technologies in the world, she constantly used the existing technology to deduce the best technology combination. She achieved an iterative effect and has already raised the level of cybernetic technology several generations higher. At this level, it can even completely cyberize human beings and achieve cyber immortality. Abigail upgraded itself with these new technologies. The current Abigail, purely in terms of combat effectiveness, has surpassed the level of the T-800, even surpassed the level of the T-1000, tied with the T-Infi 89790 model Terminator, and is the one who can nano-liquefy shape-shifting kind. Although Abigail like this would still rush into the street when faced with a modern battlefield, when fighting in the city, Abigail would be invincible only when faced with firearms and weapons. These technologies can not only be used to upgrade Abigail, but can also be used to implant and modify the human body, such as installing mechanical prostheses, or mechanical organs, and mechanical eyes on humans, so that disabled people can return to normal. Or, all human body parts, including the brain, can be replaced with implantable prosthetic machinery. Unfortunately, the technology for uploading memories to mechanical brains is not yet mature, at least in Evan's view. If a person undergoes such a transformation, although he can gain immortality, he will no longer be his original self. From a mystical perspective, the essence of the soul is itself, and memory is secondary. As long as you make sure that your soul is still your own soul, no matter how your memory changes, you will still be yourself. If the personality is composed of memories, it has no soul. Even if it looks like oneself, it will not be oneself. If we want humans to achieve true cyber immortality, we need to ensure that the memory and soul are transferred to the cyber body at the same time. This is true cyber immortality. Evan, who has achieved dual immortality in body and soul, although he has no need for cyber immortality, does not mean that he is not interested in such technology. He is not eager to turn himself into a cyborg, but is eager to master this technology. With such technology, many groups can be organized. Evan asked the robot lady Abigail to continue researching cyber immortality technology. Supplemented by soul magic technology, cyber immortality technology may be easily completed. But this also takes time. According to Miss Abigail's initial estimate, it will take at least a month to produce results. Ahem, the topic has gone too far. Let's talk about the second thing. Little Spider-Man Peter Parker 3 years later, because he is in the player state of the Marvel superhero game, his body has not grown and looks exactly the same as 3 years ago. After studying in this world's training center for 3 years, he learned all the basics and advanced techniques of prosthetic implant technology and successfully graduated from the training center. Little Spider-Man has mastered a lot of related technologies. As long as he has relevant equipment, he can design, and produce various implant prosthetic components, and can perform implant surgery modifications on the human body. Now little Spider-Man is already a talented person in the field of implant prosthetics. The next thing is the third thing. During the past 3 years, Yelena has been working undercover at Arezaka Company, ostensibly acting as the company's agent, but secretly stealing many of Arezaka's cutting-edge technologies without being discovered. Not only that, Yelena also used these 3 years to become Saburo Arezaka's confidant. Saburo Arezaka thought that Yelena was loyal to him and was satisfied with her efficiency, but he didn't know that she was just coveted for his company's technology. Yelena took advantage of the other party's trust and hacked most of Arezaka's latest technologies. Saburo Arezaka is definitely not a fool. The reason why Yelena's problem has not been discovered yet is because the technology cluster, AVE, stolen by Yelena has not been leaked. Yelena's purpose of stealing these technologies was to make a fortune in another world, not to cause trouble in this world, so she just hid the stolen technologies and did not let them leak out. Then the fourth thing. After work, Yelena also took time to train Judy and taught Judy many agent skills. In addition to receiving training from Yelena, Judy was also hired by Evan to have many tutors to teach her various knowledge. After 3 years, the 14-year-old Judy has been cultivated into a talented person. If you underestimate her because of her young age, the person who underestimates her will definitely suffer in the end. Finally, there's Evan. In the past 3 years, when Evan was alone, he spent most of his time in the shrunken home ship spaceship. He used the training room in the spacecraft to practice and sorted out all he had learned. His cultivation level has not improved much. But the combat effectiveness has increased a bit. Evan estimates that he can now face off against the Ancient One. Even if the Ancient One uses Time Gem, he will not be afraid. No one has time ability yet. It's hard to say whether they can beat the opponent, but a draw is definitely no problem. At 10 o'clock that morning, Yelena found Evan and asked the latter, "Do you have any props here that can make people disguise themselves?" Evan raised his eyebrows and complained, "Why do you need to disguise yourself? Could it be that your stealing of technology was finally discovered and you are wanted by Arezaka Company?" "I haven't been discovered yet, but I have achieved my goal and am ready to leave Arezaka Company. But you also know that Arezaka Company is very domineering, and their agent is not allowed to retire unless he dies. So you plan to disguise yourself and escape from their sight." "Right. But I remember that you already knew the art of disguise. I thought you might have something better here," Yelena said. Evan touched his chin, then showed a malicious expression, looked at Elena, and said to her, "I have recently developed a lot of new technologies here, all of which are related to cyber immortality, but they have not been clinically tested yet. If you want to try them, I guarantee that you will get a longer life and stronger combat effectiveness. Is it possible that your technology is more advanced than Arezaka Company?" Yelena was speechless. Arezaka Company is also researching cyber immortality and has achieved some results. The technical data of this part of the results has been stolen by her, so she is very aware of it. "Huang Chengjie is not as good as me. I've said more about the technical content of your card. The technology here uses a lot of similar technologies, which can give the Cyber Eternal more abilities. For example, holographic camouflage allows people to freely disguise and change their appearance. Another example is stronger strength and agility. Theoretically, the maximum strength can reach 20 tons, and the fastest running speed on the ground can reach 100 meters per second. The paired optical electronic eyes can make people obtain a variety of supervisions, and simulate skin nerves, allowing people to retain human senses to the greatest extent, etc." Evan counted on his fingers, just to make Yelena's heart beat, so that Yelena can be used as a guinea pig to test it out on cyber immortality technology. Chapter 80. Yelena listened to Evan's introduction. Although what he said was very tempting, she was not interested in cyber transformation. If good people don't do it, why should they turn themselves into cyborgs? Seeing that Yelena was unmoved, Evan could only say, "It's a pity that you missed an opportunity to live forever. I won't regret this." "Evan, do you have any technology products that can be used to disguise yourself?" Yelena asked about this again. Yes, you can go to the laboratory to find Abigail and ask her to help you make a disguise mask. Thanks. Yelena thanked her and prepared to leave her home and go to a certain building in the city center, where Abigail's laboratory was located. Evan thought for a while and called her, "Wait a minute, I'll go too." Half an hour later, the two arrived at Abigail's laboratory. The laboratory is located on the top floor of the building, and the entire floor has been rented by Abigail as a laboratory area. High-tech equipment can be seen everywhere in the laboratory, as well as many staff wearing white coats. What's more troublesome is that the staff here are all young women, and they are all very beautiful beauties. When Yelena came here for the first time, she almost thought she had arrived at a modeling agency. In fact, the staff here are all simulation robots produced by Abigail, used as scientific research assistants. There are quite a lot of beauties here. Yelena complained. Evan didn't introduce her to the idea here. After arriving here, he went straight to the cloning laboratory. Yelena went to Abigail's place and explained her requirements to her. Abigail said, "Give me half an hour." Half an hour later, Abigail came back with the newly made nano disguise mask and handed it to Yelena. Yelena tried the effect and found that this thing is very powerful. As long as it is attached to the face, it can simulate many faces. It is a must-have artifact for killing people and stealing goods when traveling at home. She is very satisfied with this thing. After getting what she wanted, she said goodbye and left. In the cloning laboratory, Evan took out the DNA of mutant Jean Grey and used the equipment here to clone it and instill memories. He planned to clone a person and cultivate it for a few more days. After Abigail developed the cyber immortality technology, he would carry out cyber transformation on the clone, saving the need to look for guinea pigs outside. Under the ripening process of the cloning cabin, a body with the same appearance as mutant Jean Grey, but only 18 years old, was cloned. The clone was instilled with some basic memories by Evan, mainly language and common sense memories. Cloning is over and the hatch is opened. The clone opened its eyes. Her eyes are very smart and show curiosity about everything. Evan handed her a towel and asked her to wipe the solution on her body first. After the clone dried himself, Evan admired the other person's body for a few times. It's very eye-catching. After this, Evan activated the secondary creation spell and created a set of clothes on her body. "Who am I, where am I, and what am I going to do?" she asked Evan the ultimate philosophical trilogy. "I named you Madeline. You are in my laboratory and will soon be used as a test subject to participate in the human body modification experiment of cyber immortality." "I'm scared," said the clone girl named Madeline. "Don't worry, you'll be fine." Next, Madeline will stay with Evan until the technology of cyber immortality matures. I don't know what the reason is. As Madeline's understanding of the world deepened and she gained an objective understanding of herself, a soul was born in his body. A soul like a normal person. This may be related to the characteristics contained in her X gene, or it may be that the birth of life will give birth to a soul, but this is not the point. A month later, Abigail completely perfected the cyber immortality technology. Evan took Madeline to Abigail's laboratory. Abigail said to Evan, "I have made a cybernetic body for Miss Madeline according to your instructions." Evan and Madeline followed Abigail into a room. There was a bed in this room, and 10 girls exactly like Madeline were lying on the bed. This girl is not flesh and blood, she is a cybernetic body that has already been formed. There is no flesh and blood under the bionic skin, and everything is a mechanical structure. 0, please give me flowers. There is no need to replace Madeline's body parts, just upload Madeline's soul and memory into this cybernetic body. Abigail brought a helmet-like thing for Madeline to wear. This was a device used to upload Madeline's memory and soul to the cybernetic body. Madeline was a little nervous, and Evan comforted her. Soon, the upload process begins. In the process, Madeline passed out. About half an hour passed and the upload was completed. The cyber girl on the bed opened her eyes and sat up. 00 Evan walked to the bedside and asked her, "How is it?" The cyber girl felt her body, and then said, "The feeling is still there, but I always feel something is weird. It seems that I have become a robot, and there is a system in my head, which is full of all kinds of data." Abigail brought a set of equipment and handed it to Evan. "Father, if you want to know how the cybernetic body feels, you can use this neural connection device to remotely access her body." Evan really wanted to try it, so he wore a neural connection device. The next moment, he felt as if he had an extra body. Control of Madeline's body was taken over by Evangelist Evan controlled the cyborg girl Madeline to get out of bed and feel the body. As Madeline said before, the feelings are still there, but something is wrong. The simulated skin on the body uses nanotechnology and has simulated nerves on it, which can simulate human touch. The mechanical eyes in the eye sockets also simulate human vision in normal vision mode. The nose also has olfactory sensors. But these feelings are different from normal people. If I had to describe it, it was like putting a person in a coffin full of nerves. Small and claustrophobic. But it's not uncomfortable. Evan took a moment to adapt to this strange feeling. Chapter 81. Evan tried out various functions of the cybernetic body. All functions are normal and have strong performance. To sum up, the following points are made. 1. There is an operating system integrated into the mechanical brain, which feels a bit like an enhanced version of the brain computer, and also like a portable system. You can use it to listen to music, watch movies, and even play games online. 2. The body is very strong and can easily lift about 20 tons of weight. 3. The explosive power of the body is very strong, the fastest running speed is 100 meters per second, and the highest jump is 10 meters high. 4. The body is made of magical metal mithril, with a large number of Olympus enchantments on it, making the body extremely strong and capable of automatically repairing collective damage. 5. Electronic binoculars have a variety of visual modes, including but not limited to ordinary vision, infrared vision, hyperopia, microscopic vision. With the analysis software of the mechanical brain system, it can automatically analyze and judge various objects seen within the line of sight. Kind of information. 663 6. Can control shape-shifting of nanoskin to change one's appearance. 7. Built-in extremely advanced energy source, it can last for 1 year on a single charge. 8. Built-in shield generator, which can generate a force field shield to protect itself from harm. 9. Anti-gravity engine, return to flight. 10. The enchantment extends seamlessly, and there is storage space inside the body to store more things. 11. Simulate X characteristics and X senses, in short, it can do things for men and women. After the test, Evan returned control of the body to Madeline. It took Madeline some time to adapt to her new body. She pointed to her original body and asked Evan, "What should I do with my original body?" "It can be kept refrigerated," Evan said. After he finished speaking, Abigail on the side took matters into her own hands and sent Madeline's original body to the hibernation cabin in the hibernation room. "Can you still use super ability now?" Evan asked Madeline. Madeline is Evan's genetic clone of mutant Jean Grey. When in the clone form, she had the super abilities of telepathy and psychokinesis. However, I don't know if her super abilities are still retained after changing to a cybernetic body. Madeline tried it and found that the super ability was still there. After examination, it was found that Madeline's super ability was no longer caused by the X gene, but by the soul. Perhaps the birth of Madeline's soul is related to the X gene. Or maybe the X gene reversely affects the other person's soul. Evan was not particularly concerned about this phenomenon. He was just aware of it and did not think about it deeply. In the evening, Evan left Madeline with Abigail and returned home alone. At home, Yelena, Little Spider-Man, and Judy are having dinner. Evan said to several people, "We've been here long enough, it's time to submit the mission." To be honest, after 3 years here, Yelena and Little Spider-Man have had enough. After hearing what Evan said, the two immediately submitted to Dr. Wren. The game system prompts that the task has been completed and you can return at any time. Little Spider-Man didn't care about dinner anymore. He couldn't wait to get up and went back to the room to pack his things. Yelena also stopped eating and went to collect things, hoping to go back early. "Are you leaving?" Judy looked at Evan and asked in surprise. "Yes. Are you going to leave me alone?" "Then it depends on whether you are willing to come with me." "Where to go?" "Otherworld." "Don't tell me you are actually aliens." Although it's not entirely correct, it's okay if you want to understand it this way. It's true. Judy didn't really believe it. Otherworld and aliens didn't sound like things that could appear in reality. "It's true," Evan said. "Tell me about the other world." Judy became interested. Evan told him about the Marvel world. Judy listened carefully, but the more she listened, the weirder her expression became. Although there are no Marvel superhero comics in the world that Judy lives in, there are many superhero-themed stories. The other party's description of that world gave Judy a similar style of painting. "Could it be a comic book story you're talking about?" "You'll know when you get there," so do you want to follow me? Can you come back? It's possible, but the speed of time in the two worlds is very different. If you spend one day there, a year can pass in this world. Judy was silent after hearing this. If time flows at this rate, if she leaves with Evan, she will only have to stay in another world for a short time before her grandfather and grandmother in this world die. In other words, once you leave with Evan, it means giving up all the ties here. Judy struggled for a long time before making a decision. Thank you for taking care of me during this time. I think I can't abandon everything and go with you. I need to stay and take care of my grandfather and grandmother. Really decided? Yeah. Judy nodded emotionally. The thought of being separated from Evan makes me feel particularly uncomfortable. Evan said to her, let's do this. When your grandparents die, I will come here to pick you up. Then I'm afraid you can only pick up a middle-aged man. Judy complained. Her grandmother and grandfather were in good health. When they died, Judy felt that she was almost middle-aged. I have a way to keep you young. What can I do? Judy's eyes lit up. There are two options. One is cultivation, but your cultivation qualifications are relatively average, so it will be very hard to practice. The other is cyber immortality. The disadvantage is that you have to give up your body, including your brain, and transfer the soul and memory are uploaded to the cybernetic body. You choose one yourself. Evan gave her two plans. The reason why the two plans were proposed was because Evan had tested that Judy's cultivation ability was extremely poor, as if her ability were so poor that it was as if she had no ability at all. Otherwise, Evan would have started teaching her cultivation 3 years ago, and there would be no need to wait until now. If I go to practice, how hard will it be? It can only be said that it is very hard, and even if you practice hard, it will only delay your own aging at most, and you will not be able to stay young forever. What about cyber immortality? After becoming a cyborg, can I still feel like a human being? I'll take you to the laboratory tomorrow. Then you can use the neural connection device to experience it in advance and you'll know. Good. Before long, Yelena and little Spider-Man had packed their things and were ready to return. You guys go back first, I will stay here for a few more days. Okay, I'm leaving then. Yelena didn't waste any words and left together very gracefully. In Judy's eyes, Yelena seemed to have disappeared out of thin air. Mr. Evan, I have to leave too. Little Spider-Man also said goodbye. Let's go, let's go. Evan waved his hand. So little Spider-Man also returned. Chapter 82. The next day, after breakfast, Evan took Judy to Abigail's laboratory. Evan asked Judy to wear a neural connection device and remotely take over the body of the cyber girl Madeline to experience the feeling of a cyborg. She controlled Madeline, came to a floor-to-ceiling mirror, and looked at the body reflected in the mirror. It just looks like Madeline is no different from a human being. Even if she touches her body with her hands, she won't feel that hard. She controlled Madeline's body to leave the mirror and continued to experience it. She discovered that all 5 senses and X senses of this body existed. Although the feeling was simulated by the nanoskin, this feeling was already very close to reality. In addition, the various magical functions of this body also make Judy feel incredible, especially the storage space in the body. Is this thing really something that today's technology can do? This is indeed alien technology. Judy felt relieved when she thought of Evan's origin. At the end of the experience, Judy took off the neural connection device and said to Evan on the side, "That's it." 1 day later, Judy's cybernetic body was completed. After the upload of memory and soul, Judy also became a cyber girl. Judy's cybernetic body is also made of the magical metal mithril. There are a large number of enchanting projects on it, which almost permanently extends the shelf life of the cybernetic body. Even if the body is damaged by attacks in the future, it can be automatically repaired. No matter how long you use it, there will be no problem of parts aging. If your body's battery is low, you can just find a place with a plug to charge it. Once fully charged, it will last for 1 year. Because of her previous experience, Judy quickly adapted to her new body. She knew that Gawain was leaving, and the next time she saw him again might be decades later. She was reluctant to say goodbye to Evan, so she asked Evan to stay with her for a few more days. A few days later, Evan said goodbye to Judy and returned with the robot lady Abigail. After testing this exploration dungeon, Evan thought it was good, so he started updating the game version as soon as he returned. At the same time, all players of the Marvel superhero game, whether online or offline, heard the system announcement in their minds. The Marvel superhero game will undergo upgrade maintenance, and players will not be able to log into the game during this period. This upgrade maintenance will last for 3 days. The updated content of this version is as follows: 1. Open a new copy: Spider-Man 1, Ant-Man 1, Guardians of Galaxy 1, Guardians of Galaxy 2. 2. Open a new dungeon type: Exploration Dungeon. 3. Fix some bugs. As the game started to be updated, all players except Evan, Wanda, Gwen, Kayla, Laura, and Abigail were kicked offline. The reason why the above-mentioned people were able to stay in the game world during the game update was entirely because Evan opened a backdoor for himself. Although there are 6 people, in fact, only Evan, Gwen, and Abigail are in the game world at the moment. Wanda returned to her hometown of Sokovia to visit the graves of her parents and brother. Kayla and Laura work at DC Earth 38. But after she received the game announcement, she still used the game communication function as soon as possible to send a message to Evan to inquire about the situation. Evan told several people about his plan. When the girls learned that Evan planned to use this game to allow players to explore other worlds, they suddenly became interested in those so-called other worlds. They all expressed their anticipation for his new version. After updating the game, Evan came to the laboratory under the villa in the public area of the game world and asked Gwen, who was studying the Kryptonian Civilization Center book here, "How's the research going?" Evan asked her. This laboratory has been blessed with time dilation buff. Although only 3 days have passed in the real world, 90 years have passed here. Although it is impossible for Gwen to stay here and study alone for 90 years, but he has been doing research intermittently, I am afraid that he has been studying for decades. After such a long time, Gwen's research has definitely produced some results. Dear, you came just in time. I have already developed the gene editing technology, which is the technology that you complained about as a real-life version of face squeezing. After that, I began to study how to give humans the ability of Kryptonians, and have already achieved good progress. It is estimated that in a few days from the outside world, we will be able to obtain Kryptonian blood, and then we can just lie down and bask in the sun and become stronger. Evan looked at the dark circles under Gwen's eyes and knew that she must be spending all her time studying, so she pinched her face and said, "You haven't rested for a long time, haven't you? Let's rest for a few days. Then go on a date with me. But my research is at a critical stage. I can study it in the future, let's go." Evan took her and forced her to leave the game world and return to her home in the outside world. "Speaking of which, I haven't visited your home for a long time, so I'll take this opportunity to visit you at home," Evan said. "Wait while I go change my clothes." Gwen nodded. Since she was going to take her boyfriend to meet her parents, she naturally couldn't look like this. She had to at least put on makeup, cover up the dark circles on her face, and put on her long hair. The hair that I didn't comb for a long time is now neatly styled. At the moment, it's 5 p.m. Evan and Gwen went to the latter's home. Gwen's parents were both there. 310 When they saw their daughter returning home with her prospective son-in-law, Gwen's mother Helen smiled and expressed her welcome. Gwen's father, George, had a straight face. It wasn't that he was dissatisfied with Evan's prospective son-in-law. After all, he was already the owner of a film and television company and earned tens of billions every year. He was considered successful. The reason why he kept a straight face was just to maintain the dignity of his parents in front of his prospective son-in-law. As the commissioner of the New York Police Department, George Stacy was very dignified when he put on airs. Evan sat next to George and started chatting with him. After chatting for a while, Helen put dinner on the table. During the meal, Helen asked her daughter and Evan, "When are you going to get married?" When asked this question, Gwen looked at Evan and asked, "Yes, when will we get married?" "Go and get the certificate tomorrow." "Okay, I'll go get the certificate tomorrow." Gwen nodded. Listening to the conversation between the two, George and Helen knew that their relationship was so good that they could get married at any time. As for when the wedding will be held, Evan and Gwen will have to discuss it privately. After all, they have to consider the feelings of Wanda and Kayla. It is worth mentioning that Wanda and Gwen still don't know that someone is married to Kayla, and they only think that Kayla got pregnant out of wedlock. Chapter 83. That night, Gwen sent a message to Wanda and told her what happened today. When she learned that Gwen was going to get the certificate with Evan, Wanda didn't express any opinion. The next day, Evan and Gwen went to the relevant department to get the certificate. After that, Gwen's parents, George and Helena, chose an auspicious day for the wedding, which was set in half a month. Then there is the matter of sending out invitations to the wedding. George and Helena began sending invitations to acquaintances and relatives, inviting them to attend their daughter's wedding. Evan and Gwen are doing this too. Gwen invited some of her friends from school. Evan sent the invitation letter to Avengers. Tony Stark, Natasha Romanoff, Clint Barton, Bruce Banner, Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, James Rhodes all received. Evan even sent the invitation to Asgard for Thor and Frigga to receive it. What? Why did you invite Bruce Banner? Aren't you afraid that Banner will turn into Hulk and happy events will turn into funerals? Definitely not afraid, just Hulk. Evan can still hold his own. In fact, not only Evan, but also Gwen, Wanda, Kayla, and Laura can easily suppress the entire audience. Evan also sent the invitation to S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury, Maria Hill, Sharon Carter, and Phil Coulson also received invitations. In addition, there are also Little Spider-Man Peter Parker and Stephen Strange, who were also sent invitations by Evan. Since the invitation letter stated that people could be brought, Evan didn't bother to send invitations to Tony's girlfriend Pepper and Stephen's girlfriend Kristen. He just called them to inform them. Anyone who is familiar with Evan knows that Evan's relationship here is quite confusing, and he seems to be in multiple boats. But this is everyone else's business and they have nothing to do with it. But among these people, most of them knew that there were many capable people here in Evan who were worth attracting, so after receiving the invitation, they all expressed that they would take time to attend their wedding. Being able to invite these people to the wedding, in a way, Evan's reputation is really great. It is really the fruit of face. According to the tradition of Marvel superhero games, the game was launched again at 12 midnight a few days later. Players log into the game immediately. This time the game has been updated with several new dungeons, namely Spider-Man 1, Ant-Man 1, Guardians of Galaxy 1, Guardians of Galaxy 2, and Exploration Dungeons. The most special one is the Exploration copy. There is a description in the dungeon interface. If you choose to explore the dungeon, you will be randomly sent to different exploration dungeon worlds, dungeons not in the list. The time flow rate of the exploration dungeon is very different. The same point is that players can bring reality from the randomly obtained dungeon thing. There is only one purpose of exploring the dungeon, which is to explore the information in the dungeon world and submit it to the game system. The more information submitted, the higher the completion of the dungeon and the higher the reward. When the task completion reaches 20% when the time comes, you can choose to return. You can definitely return early, but then there will be no reward. After reading the introduction to the exploration dungeon, some smart players have already realized something. These so-called exploration copies are likely to be real worlds. This game is about using them to explore unknown worlds. Nowadays, except for the new Yelena and Little Spider-Man, everyone knows that some copies in the game are actually otherworld, or parallel time and space. Falcon Sam Wilson and Hawkeye Clint Barton, who are newbies like Yelena and Little Spider-Man, are not included in the cute category. They are members of the Avengers and share information with the Avengers. They know more about Yelena and Little Spider-Man than Yelena and Little Spider-Man more. However, everyone did not enter the exploration dungeon immediately. Even if exploring the instance means Otherworld, it's only Otherworld. Compared with the situation in Otherworld, most people are still more concerned about the stories that will happen in their own world in the future. So after everyone learned about the new version, most of them chose to clear the 4 copies of Spider-Man 1, Ant-Man 1, Guardians of Galaxy 1, and Guardians of Galaxy 2 first. Nick Fury asked Maria Hill, Sharon Carter, and Phil Coulson to form a team to explore the dungeon. Fury himself spent money to recharge the time expansion of the regular dungeon, and prepared to fight alone, and would enter Spider-Man 1, Ant-Man 1, Guardians of Galaxy 1, and Guardians of Galaxy 2 one after another. This would be more efficient in Nick Fury's opinion. The Avengers' choice is similar. They also act separately. The wealthy Tony Stark funds the time dilation of the dungeon world, allowing Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Falcon, and others to team up to conquer Spider-Man 1, Ant-Man 1, Guardians of Galaxy 1, Guardians of Galaxy 2. The remaining Avengers, Tony, Banner, Thor, and others formed a team to explore the dungeon. Natasha Romanoff didn't notice that Yelena was also nearby. It was better to say that Yelena was hiding from Natasha Romanoff. Yelena hadn't figured out how to face Natasha Romanoff yet. Yelena watched Natasha Romanoff enter the dungeon, and then looked at the familiar little Spider-Man Peter Parker. She found that the little Spider-Man was looking at Tony Stark, and asked him, "Iron Man is your idol?" "Yes, the superhero I admire most is Iron Man. Peter Parker nodded. Since you admire him so much, why don't you go over? I wanted to go over there, but he's about to enter the instance. As soon as little Spider-Man finished speaking, he saw Tony disappear over there and enter the instance. Since your idol is gone, why don't we form a team? Yelena asked little Spider-Man. Little Spider-Man suddenly trembled. I think back then, when he teamed up with Evan and Yelena to enter the cyberpunk world, little Spider-Man was still very naive and thought that Yelena was a weak woman who needed to be protected. But in the 3 years that followed, little Spider-Man being used by Yelena in various ways has caused psychological shadow. Hearing that Yelena still wanted to form a team with him, little Spider-Man shook his head and refused without thinking, it's better not to leave. I'll be alone. Then you have to think carefully. If you don't pay for time dilation, how long you spend in the copy, Li Lihao, will also be how long you spend in reality. Yelena said with a smile. Little Spider-Man's body froze. As a poor loser, he has no money to pay and cannot time dilate. In the end, little Spider-Man had no choice but to team up with this hateful woman and enter the copy of Spider-Man 1. Loki looked at the copy list and fell into thought. The exploration copy was obviously a special copy that allowed people to go to other world, but compared with the exploration copy, the regular copy was about interpreting the future of his own world, which made it difficult for him to make a choice, so he looked at his mother Fulai aside. Chia, be prepared to listen to the other person's opinion. Let's go to the regular dungeon first. Only by knowing the future can we avoid possible threats. Frigga said. Loki nodded. In front of Frigga, he was a good boy. So Loki teamed up with Frigga, spent money to recharge, performed time dilation, and then entered the first new copy of this update Spider-Man 1. Chapter 84. Thanks to Devil Realm for your monthly pass, thanks to Devil CWK for the 100 VIP point reward. While players were scrambling to enter the new version of the copy, Evan, Wanda, Gwen, Kayla, and Laura stayed in the villa in the public area. Among these people, except Laura Nelson, who is a daughter, the others are peers. Because Evan and Gwen received the certificate and will hold a wedding soon, they are discussing it now. Whether it is getting a certificate or a wedding, it is a very romantic thing. Although for people like them who have lived together for a long time, getting a certificate and getting married seem to be just a formality, because whether they are married or not, how they live their lives is still the same. Pass. But Wanda still cares about this kind of thing very much. On the contrary, Kayla was the calmest because she was already married to someone. Someone saw that Wanda was not in a good mood and said, let's get married sometime later. Wanda hesitated and said, isn't it strange that you got married twice in a short period of time? It's not strange. As long as you use your ability alter reality to make the unreasonable reasonable, no one will find it strange. Evan said. Laura Nelson looked at her father and felt that it was not easy for him. Okay, let's go to the dungeon first. Evan changed the subject. 440. Okay, you turn on time dilation, and we form a team to enter those regular dungeons. Gwen said. They formed a team and collectively went to the dungeon Spider-Man 1, and then entered Ant-Man 1 Guardians of Galaxy 1 and 2 one after another. A few days later, these regular copies were cleared by players one after another. The future events performed in this regular copy are not big, at least not on the Earth side. The story of Spider-Man 1 is the story of Little Spider-Man. Little Spider-Man is already a player here. Although everyone is not familiar with him, they know that he is a kind and good boy. Perhaps some of Little Spider-Man's experiences reminded Tony Stark of his childhood self, which made Tony Stark appreciate Little Spider-Man and took the initiative to get to know him. And Little Spider-Man's idol happens to be Tony Stark, so he was particularly excited. The relationship between the two of them, which was similar to that of father and son, still exists even in this new time and space. The copy of Ant-Man 1 has attracted everyone's attention. The skills of Hank Pym, the first Ant-Man, are really amazing. On the other hand, the second-generation Ant-Man Scott Lang looks like, a funny character no matter what. Then there are the stories of Guardians of Galaxy 1 and 2. People who have cleared these two dungeons will have a general understanding of some of the forces in the universe and their technological level, and also know that the protagonist of this dungeon, Peter Quill, is from Earth. Born from the combination of a certain ball scum. It's hard to imagine that planetary creatures like ball scum ego actually exist in the universe. At the same time, they also learned the whereabouts of the Power Stone. It's a pity that they don't have the ability to leave the Earth, otherwise they would definitely look for the Power Stone. Nick Fury was wondering whether he should contact Captain Marvel and ask him to get the Power Stone. And those players who chose to explore the dungeon entered the same world as a team. Those who didn't form a team entered a different world. The styles of those other worlds are different, and even the physics rules of some worlds are different. In the space-time dimension theory, all single universes in the multi-universe are under the same physical rules, and the time flow rate is also the same. However, the omnipotent universe contains n multi-universes. The world rules of each multi-universe are different, and the time flow rate is also different. They are exploring those experiences and adventures in the dungeon world. The common area of the game world, home of Tony Stark. The Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D agents are all concentrated here at the moment. Everyone reported and discussed their experiences with previous copies. Tony Stark said, the time flow rate of Dungeon World and Exploring Dungeon World are different. The former can be changed by recharging, while the latter will vary depending on the world. It can be judged from this that the former is the future shown to us by this game and is virtual. The latter is a real other world. The game requires us to go in and investigate the intelligence of those worlds. Once the investigation is completed, we will no longer be able to enter the same exploration copy. Based on the above reasoning, I speculate that the game is using us to help it explore those other worlds. We so-called players are just working as workers for the people behind the game. As soon as he said this, Tony Stark felt very unhappy. It's hard for him, Tony Stark, to actually have to work for someone else. But he was reluctant to give up this game, because after passing this village, there would be no place like this. Monopoly is really abhorrent. This is the tangled state of mind of Tony Stark at the moment. There is no need to worry about such issues at all. We just need to ensure that we can benefit from it. This may also be the reward this game pays us. There are gains and losses, and what you pay for will be rewarded. This is reasonable. Natasha Romanoff shrug. The real world, several days later. Finally the day of Evan and Gwen's wedding arrived. A romantic wedding was held in XX. Most of the people who received the invitation came. Wanda, Kayla, and Laura are here too. Frigga also came, but she changed her image and came very low-key. Loki is definitely here, but as a villain, in order not to be attacked by the Avengers, he also changed his image in a low-key manner, and took this opportunity to get close to the Avengers. He must understand them from the inside out. Only in this way can he defeat them. The wedding process was uneventful and everything was smooth. Gwen was very happy. During the wedding, the smile on her face never disappeared. Anyone could see from Gwen's face that she was very happy. Off stage. Tony Stark whispered to Pepper beside him, if I remember correctly, Evan was dating multiple people at the same time. One of them was marrying him, while the other one was congratulating him in the audience. I'm curious why he hasn't fallen out of love yet. As a result, Tony Stark was complained by Pepper Potts, you envy him. No, absolutely not, I'm just curious. Please put away your curiosity and don't discuss this matter with me. Okay. Chapter 85. Because of the existence of a certain game, in recent days, Scott Lang, Hope Van Dyne, Hank Pym, Darren Cross, and others have all been paid attention to by S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. focused on the villain Darren Cross, and after several days of surveillance, they found evidence of his crime and captured him on the spot. Scott and Hope are on Nick Fury's watch list, and they plan to recruit them into the Avengers after they become Ant-Man and the Wasp. As for the information that S.H.I.E.L.D. and others obtained from the Guardians of Galaxy copy story, it is difficult to use it. They can't live without the Earth at all, no matter how much they know, it's useless. Tony Stark wants to go to the universe and go to the planet Morag to get the Power Stone. But leaving aside where Morag's planet is, he doesn't have the skills to leave his home planet. Nick Fury does have some alien friends who can help, but it is impossible for Nick Fury to ask the Skrulls for such help. That may make the Skrulls interested in the Power Stone. Who will get the power then? It's hard to say about gems. Rather than that, it would be better to go find Captain Jinky. Not much is happening on Earth these days. It's still 2015, and nothing big will happen this year. This day is more than a month after Evan returned from the cyberpunk world. According to the time flow rate of the two worlds, more than 30 years have passed in the cyberpunk world. Evan still remembered his agreement with Judy, so he used the portal from another world and came to the cyberpunk world. Chaos and greater chaos, darkness and greater darkness have always been the labels of Night City. Gangs are fighting, officials are causing trouble, and a large number of abnormal deaths occur here every day. After my grandfather and grandmother passed away, I returned to this city again and lived here for a long time. Counting the time, 34 years have passed since brother Evan left. 34 years ago, Evan performed a cyber transformation on me, changing my appearance from a 14-year-old to a 21-year-old. 34 years ago, I looked 21 years old. 34 years later, my appearance has not changed at all. I have always hidden my true identity from the outside world, and I have not let anyone notice that I will not age. But to be honest, it's lonely. As time goes by, people I knew in the past passed away and grew old, and it seemed like I was the only one left in the world. I am still young, and I seem to have become the ghost of an era. I know every part of this city, every vice. Maybe the only thing I'm not familiar with is myself. I once thought I knew myself well, but it turns out I was wrong. If I really knew myself, I should not have chosen to stay at that time, but to go with Evan, even if that meant saying goodbye to this world completely. Before Evan left, he told me that when my grandparents passed away, they would come to this world to take me away. But they have been dead for 3 years and he still has not arrived. I know that the world that Evan and I live in is not in the same time dimension, but I just can't help but wonder, has he forgotten me? Evan found Judy in a Leeds bar. The other party is the same as before, without any change. The moment Judy saw him, she couldn't help but throw herself into his arms. It has been 34 years. If you don't come back, I will think you have forgotten me. Evan stroked her back soothingly and said, she's still crying at such an old age. After hugging, the two sat at the bar. Judy asked the bartender to serve 2 glasses of wine to the two of them. Then Judy began to tell Evan what happened during the past 34 years. That year, after Evan and Abigail left, Judy inherited Abigail's laboratory, and all the beautiful robots in the laboratory became Judy's subordinates. She took advantage of the situation and became a scientist. She was engaged in scientific research in this laboratory, and she did not need to worry about funding. This laboratory had many patents outside the country, and she could get a lot of patent fees every year. In her spare time, Judy would leave Night City from time to time and go to Jersey City to visit her grandfather and grandmother until their grandfather and grandmother passed away 3 years ago. After Judy talked about her experiences over the years, Evan, as far as you are concerned, it shouldn't have been long since we parted ways with me, right? Well, only a month has passed since I was there. Evan sighed with emotion, and then said, you prepare yourself today, and I will take you away tomorrow. Good. That night, Evan spent the night at Judy's house. Don't get me wrong, nothing happened between the two, they are still brother and sister. 0, please give me flowers. The next day, after breakfast, Evan took Judy, who had packed up, to his home in the public area of the game world. Wanda and Gwen were both at home, so Evan introduced Judy to them. Wanda and Gwen heard Evan talk about Judy and knew that she was Evan's adopted sister from Otherworld. They welcomed Judy's arrival. After the two parties exchanged greetings, Evan introduced the place to Judy. Listening to Evan's introduction to this place, Judy felt very novel, and she was now very interested in everything here. And she caught up with it at a good time, because just now, Gwen made a major breakthrough in her research on the central book, and now she can give people Kryptonian blood. So the 4 of them came to the laboratory below the villa. Are Kryptonians very powerful? Judy was curious. You'll know the answer later. Gwen looked at a few people and asked, which one of you will come first? I'll do it first. Evan took a step forward and lay down on the experimental bed. There are many kinds of ability gene templates in the Kryptonian gene pool of the central book. In the aspects that the templates focus on, they will have extraordinary abilities. Dear, which ability do you want? Gwen asked Evangelist. What are your recommendations? I recommend you choose the Kryptonian Scientist template, which will greatly enhance your intelligence. You know, in many cases, wisdom is far more important than strength. Gwen said Evan also thinks that the Scientist template is more suitable for him, after all, he is also engaged in scientific research on weekdays. Besides, even the Kryptonian Scientist template has the basic ability of the Kryptonian, and it is not bad at all, but it does not have as strong an ability as the Warrior template in combat, which can be made up for by time. Just choose the Scientist template. Evan nodded. Under Gwen's personal operation, the gene transplantation operation began. Wanda and Judy watched the whole thing. This operation was not as complicated as imagined. Gwen only injected the Kryptonian genetic medicine she developed into Evan. It didn't take long for the bloodline integration process to be over. "How are you feeling?" Wanda asked. "I feel good," Evan said. "Okay, let me do it next." Wanda also lay down on the experimental bed. Chapter 86. The template Wanda chose was different from Evan. She chose the Kryptonian warrior genetic template, focusing on combat ability. Her transformation was soon over. After this comes Gwen herself, who chose the same scientist template as Evan. When it was Judy's turn, Evan called Abigail and asked the latter to bring Judy's original body. Judy's original body has been refrigerated and hibernating at Abigail's place. This 14-year-old body looks exactly the same as it did then. I didn't expect that I could see my childhood self here. Judy looked at the body in front of her that was being awakened from hibernation by the thawing rays, and her mood was very subtle. "I have carefully preserved your body to prepare for this moment," Evan said. Next, Abigail brought the memory and soul uploading equipment and uploaded the soul and memory of the cyber girl Judy Zero into her former body, turning Judy from a cyber girl back to a human girl. After that, Gwen first brought the Wolverine gene potion and injected it into Judy, which can greatly delay Judy's aging and give her the ability of the self-healing factor, which can be regarded as an elixir in disguise. After Judy got used to this ability, Gwen started injecting her with Kryptonian medicine. 2 hours later, everyone left the laboratory and went to the public area Malibu Beach. They lay on the beach chairs and sunbathed. The yellow solar energy simulated in the game world is not essentially different from the solar energy in the outside world. Basking in the sun here can also activate the Kryptonian super ability. As time goes by, everyone feels the surge in physical fitness, and the super ability unique to Kryptonians also comes online. Super strength, super speed, super vision, super hearing, heat vision, super breathing, man of steel. These abilities are not that strong from the beginning. They need to be exposed to the sun for many years. They can definitely choose to fly to fixed star, but it is not necessary. We are all Superman now. Kayla and Laura will be shocked when they come over and find out that we are all Kryptonians. Gwen showed a wicked smile. We have the central book of the Kryptonian civilization and the supporting cloning technology, which means we have the ability to bring back the Kryptonian civilization. What would Kayla think if she knew about this? Wanda asked several people. Why didn't you say we could travel through time and space, go back in time, change history, and save Kayla's parents? Gwen rolled her eyes. Wanda was stunned. Yes, why hasn't she thought about similar things? Since the last injection of the Shadowcat potion, she has been able to time travel through quantum reset, but she has never thought about it. Wanda couldn't help but think of her dead parents and brother. If she could go back in time, could the tragedy of that year be prevented? Seeing the changing expressions on Wanda's face, Gwen probably guessed what she was thinking, so she asked, "You don't want to go back in time to save your relatives, do you?" "Yet." Wanda nodded excitedly. "Okay, let me give you some popular science about time travel, such as time paradox." Gwen gave Wanda a general introduction to the hot topic of time travel and focused on the options that are absolutely taboo in time travel. Judy is also a science fiction enthusiast, and she was supplementing on the side. Evan also weighed in on this topic. Going back to the past and changing history may lead to 3 results. The first is that the timeline bifurcates, forming a new parallel time and space. The second is that history is changed and the future is restarted. The third is that quantum shattering leads to the end of time. I think the first possibility is the most likely. People saved from the past only belong to another time and space. In essence, we have not resurrected the decedent, but only created a new possibility. Evan said his thoughts on this view. But I still want to try. Wanda said. Then go try it. Evan nodded. Wanda got up, activated the quantum reset, disappeared from the game world, and returned to the past era when her parents were still alive. She prevented the incident that resulted in the deaths of her parents and brother. They survived. After doing this, Wanda returned to her own timeline and came to her hometown. When she looked at the situation in her hometown, she found that the reality was still that reality and had not been restarted because the past had been changed. I'm afraid, as Evan said, changing the past only creates a new timeline, rather than changing the existing timeline. Wanda was disappointed. But when she thought that in another time and space, her parents and brother were still alive, her mood was not so bad. But she still wanted to take a look at that timeline. So Wanda activated the quantum reset again and traveled through the timeline that was born because she changed the past, or a parallel time and space. After going there, Wanda was surprised to find that in this new time and space, Evan does not exist, and there is no Marvel superhero game. Many of the stories here are exactly the same as those in the game copy. There is definitely a difference. That is, Wanda and Pietro's parents are still dead in this world, but not by missiles produced by Stark Company. He died in the hands of Hydra Baron Strucker. After that, Baron Strucker captured Wanda and Pietro and took them to the base to be used as guinea pigs. They were later rescued by the Avengers, and the two brothers and sisters joined the Avengers. Today, major events in the Age of Ultron are taking place here. My parents actually died again. Wanda couldn't accept it. But she didn't go back to the past to modify history, because she already knew that changing history in that way was not saving people at all, but creating parallel time and space. Once or twice was enough. If it was done more times, there would be no guarantee that there would be no problems. At the moment Wanda stood in New York in this new time and space, looking a little confused. At this moment, Evan took Gwen and Judy across the timeline and came to this new time and space. As soon as he arrived here, Evan used his quantum observation skills to observe the situation of this new timeline. This is actually a timeline that assumes I don't exist. Evan was surprised. If you don't exist, does that mean the superhero game doesn't exist either? Then the historical trajectory here should be similar to the plot of the regular copy in your game, right? Gwen became interested. Yeah. 4.2 Evan nodded. Should we do something here? Gwen suggested. For example? Evan asked. I want to meet my other self. Gwen said. Then go and see him. I'm leaving. Gwen waved her hand, disappeared into thin air, and teleported away. The scene of her disappearing out of thin air in public did not attract the attention of passers-by around her. Before she disappeared, she used her psychic ability to interfere with the consciousness of the people around her, making them ignore the abnormality here. Evan hugged Wanda, who was in a state of confusion, and said to her, if you are in a bad mood, come with me to relax. Good. I won't be a light bulb for you. I'll wander around by myself. Judy and the two of them waved their hands and left in a sensible manner. Chapter 87. Gwen came to her home in this new time and space. She looked at her home with supervision and found that her variant was at home at the moment, but her parents were not there. Well, let's call the Gwen of this time and space Gwen number 2. To be honest, it's quite novel to see another self in parallel time and space. Gwen walked to the door and rang the doorbell. Not long after, Gwen number 2 opened the door. Gwen number 2 looks exactly like Gwen. But because Gwen number 2 did not practice cultivation, her skin texture was not as good as Gwen's, and her appearance was a bit lower. When Gwen number 2 saw that the person outside the house looked exactly like herself, she was stunned for a long time. Let me ask first, did my father and mother make any principled mistakes? Gwen number 2 asked. No, Mom and Dad have always been in love with each other, and they didn't look for an affair to give birth to other sisters for you. Gwen replied with a smile. Gwen no 2's expression became subtle. You call me Mom and Dad as well? Yes. I don't remember having a sister, I lost for many years. I don't have a sister like that either. Then you must be me in the future. Gwen number 2 feels that she may have discovered the truth. No, it's even weirder than that. In fact, I come from other parallel time and space. Essentially, you and I are variations of the same person in different time and space, which can also be called homotopes. It's really bizarre. Can I hear your story? Gwen number 2 asked. Definitely. Gwen entered the house. Next, Gwen told Gwen number 2 her own story, mainly the love story between her and Evangelist, who is Evan. Gwen number 2 heard that Gwen said she had a husband named Evan, and she suddenly became interested. Since Evan is Gwen's husband, will her husband be Evan in this time and space? By the way, is there Evan in this time and space? He is a man who changed my life. Tell me quickly. Gwen number 2 expected. Gwen told her the story. As a result, Gwen number 2 listened halfway and suddenly interrupted her. Wait a minute, you are saying that you became the other party's girlfriend when you knew that the other party already had a girlfriend, and finally got married? Are you kidding? How could I marry a playboy? Things are quite complicated. I'll keep it short, but it's a long story. Gwen continued her story. Gwen number 2 did not interrupt again this time, but listened carefully. The more she listened, the more she felt like she was listening to a science fiction story. Marvel superhero game world? Where does this alien technology come from? What is the practice method taught by Evan? It must be Eastern Kung Fu. When Gwen number 2 learned that her other self and Evan had lived together in the game for N years, she suddenly didn't know what to say. It seems that your relationship is very deep. Well, by the way, since you are me too, I guess you are also related to spiders. Have you ever tried to be bitten by a spider? Gwen asked. Why should I be bitten by a spider? Gwen number 2 felt confused. Because that gives you super ability. I do not believe. If you don't believe it, try it. You definitely don't want to miss super ability. Come on, let's find a place with spiders. Are you really? Stop talking nonsense and follow me. Oh. Gwen took Gwen number 2 and teleported to the Wanda Mountains in Europe. How did you do it? Gwen number 2 saw that Gwen could teleport with him, and he immediately lost his composure. Could this be the super ability that the other party called? If this is the case, then she really wants to try to be bitten by a spider, so that she can travel around the world at any time in the future. It is a super ability called Planetoid Reset. This ability is based on the quantum superposition state and the observer theory. It is to first quantize one's body, and then artificially reset the uncertainty of the quantum state to the specific results of the macro world are above. I understand the theory, but is this ability to quantize the body also bitten by a spider? That's not true. I'll tell you slowly later. We are now in Wanda Mountain. It is said that this place was once a battlefield in the super ancient times. It is said that the temple of the god of black magic and believer Scarlet Witch is located here. On the mountain. Well, I found a spider. Gwen walked to a tree and grabbed a Wanda widow spider from above. In the story of the Ultimate Universe, the reason why Spider-Woman Jessica Drew gained super abilities is related to the Fondog widow spider. This is the widow spider. I heard its toxin can kill an elephant. Gwen number 2 backed down. Don't be afraid, I'm here, I guarantee you'll be fine, and you will definitely thank me later. Gwen said, and threw the Wandog widow pig onto Gwen number 2. Gwen number 2 screamed in surprise and kept slapping her body, trying to swat the Wandago widow spider off her body. But the Wandog widow spider is very flexible and was not photographed by Gwen 2. It crawled to number 2 Gwen's neck and bit into it. A few seconds later, Gwen number 2 fainted and fell to the ground. And the Wandage widow spider that had made a meritorious service in 783 died directly as if it had completed some kind of mission. Gwen on the side felt that the spider totem on Gwen number 2 was activated, and seemed to have established a connection with an existence outside the world. Gwen, who has also experienced this, knows success. She began to wait. It didn't take long for Gwen number 2 to wake up. You're awake. Gwen number 2 sat up in a daze, looked around confusedly, and found that it was a mountainous environment. Then she gradually remembered what she had experienced before she fell into coma. She was full of intelligence and woke up instantly. She stood up and pointed at Gwen. You actually threw the widow spider on me. What if something happens? Isn't it okay? You can feel it now. Your super ability has arrived. Gwen said with a smile. It's so much fun teasing variations and stuff. Gwen number 2 was stunned for a moment, then felt her body seriously. She felt that her eyesight was better, her strength was stronger, and her explosive power was stronger. It seemed that she had a very special intuition, which allowed her to understand some things that ordinary people could not understand. How about it, I didn't lie to you? Gwen said with a smile. Gwen number 2 nodded. Chapter 88. Thanks to new Abuse Dreamkeeper for your monthly ticket, Gwen took Gwen number 2 and teleported back to the latter's home. Because the latter had just obtained the spider-type super ability and was in high spirits. When she just returned home, she kept looking for some heavy objects at home that she could not lift before to test her strength. She found that she could lift all the furniture and appliances in her home effortlessly. It's amazing, but I don't understand why I can gain super ability after being bitten by a spider, but others can't. Gwen number 2 asked, the doubt lingering in her heart. Because we were noticed by a very special super life form in the multi-universe, a totem called a spider appeared in our bodies. This totem was already in our bodies before we were born. It is in an inactive state, and in order to activate it, you must complete a ritual of being bitten by a spider. Is that super life form you are talking about God? No, God is not as powerful as him. He is a multi-level super life form, and his presence is spread throughout every single universe in the multi-universe. It is said that his name is the Master Weaver, and we are the members of its perception universe. Catalyst. According to you, every move we make is under the surveillance of the Master Weaver. He is not interested in our privacy. To him, we are just inconspicuous bugs. Do you care about the life of bugs? Gwen replied. Gwen once went through the virtual training ground in the Marvel superhero game world and faced the NPC version of the Weaver Master, who was an entity that looked like a spider. In the battle with the opponent, no matter how much you jump, you can't escape the ending of being killed by the Weaver Master in one move. Gwen also heard about many multi-level super life forms from Evan's mouth, such as the Trinity of Infinity, Annihilation, Death, Eternity, Love, Hatred, Sithorn, Sidorak, Set, and Vishandi. When she was bored, Gwen would try to fight those multi-level beings in the simulated training ground, but she would often die inexplicably before even seeing where the enemies were. It could be said that she died without any fireworks. Compared with that kind of multi-level super life form, Kamartaj Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One is not that eye-catching. It is also because she has had this experience that she knows very well what a multi-universe super life form actually represents. Judy is walking alone in the Manhattan neighborhood of the new time and space. The environment here is a bit backward for her. After all, she comes from the near-future world of cyberpunk. Compared with there, the civilian technology here is really inferior. Clever. But Judy likes the tranquility here. What she calls tranquility does not mean that New York City is not prosperous, but that the security here is much better than that of Night City. She sneaked all the way to the Avengers headquarters. At this point in the timeline, the Avengers headquarters was still in downtown New York. Judy had heard Evan talk about the Avengers. Although she had not seen them in person, she wanted to meet those legendary superheroes, so she stopped in front of the Avengers Alliance headquarters. At this time, a voice sounded from behind her, "Kid, you seem to need help?" Judy turned around, looked behind her, and saw a black man. "Who are you?" she asked the other person. "Well, it seems that I am not a famous Avenger. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sam Wilson. I just joined the Avengers not long ago." "Oh, I've heard of you." "Hello Mr. Wilson, I'm Judy Alvarez, and I have information to tell you." Judy planned to use this statement as an entry point to visit the Avengers headquarters. "You can talk to me." "That's not possible. I also want to visit the Avengers headquarters. If you can take me in for a tour, I will tell you the information," Judy said slyly. Judy has not played the regular copy of Marvel Superhero, but Evan has told her about many things in the Marvel world, including the major events of the Age of Ultron. She had used her mobile phone to surf the internet before and learned about the situation of this new timeline. She knew that the Ultron incident was happening at the moment and the Avengers were looking for Ultron's whereabouts. She could just come up with this piece of information. "Okay, please, kid." Falcon Sam made a gesture of invitation. Because Judy changed back to her original body and looked 14 years old, she was called a child by Sam. In this way, Judy successfully entered the Avengers Tower and visited the place under the leadership of Falcon Sam. Halfway through the visit, Judy met Wanda here. To be precise, it was a variant of Wanda. Compared with her own Wanda, this Wanda number 2 looked very childish and innocent. Without waiting for Falcon Sam to introduce the two, Judy said to number 2 Wanda, "Hello, Miss Maximoff, I am Judy Alvarez." "Hello." Number 2 Wanda is not good at socializing with others, but now that she is facing a little sister who is only 14 years old, she is not so nervous. "Mr. Wilson, can I talk to Miss Maximoff alone?" Judy said to Falcon. "Definitely." Sam Wilson nodded gentlemanly, then turned and left. "Wanda, can I call you that?" "Definitely, little sister, how do you know me?" Number 2 Wanda felt very strange. She was obviously not famous, and it hadn't been long since she joined the Avengers with her brother, so why did someone know her? "You may not believe it when I tell you I know yourself better than you do, Oli. For example, I know you have super ability, but you definitely don't know the nature of your super ability." "Zhaos," Dilishan said thoughtfully. Evan has told her about Wanda, so Judy knows Wanda relatively well. My super ability was developed by a gem. Number 2, Wanda said. No, in fact, that kind of super ability has always been in you, but it happened to be induced by the gem in your mouth. I know someone who has the same super ability as you. Her super ability is far more powerful than yours, even you can do many incredible things. When Judy said this, she remembered the time when she was sunbathing on the beach in the game world. At that time, Wanda used ability alter reality to create a beach chair and a fruit plate with a cold drink out of thin air. She guessed the number 2 Wanda in front of me definitely couldn't do the same thing. Who are you talking about? She has the same name as you, her name is Wanda, and her ability is alter reality. Chapter 89. Evan and Wanda took a walk in the new timeline for a while, then went directly back to the public area of the game world and continued to lie on the beach chairs and bask in the sun. They are not worried about Gwen and Judy who are still in another timeline. If they want to come back, they can just return to the game world. At dusk, Kayla came. Kayla and Evan said, Alex wants to be a player here and wants you and me to get an invitation letter. Evan nodded and used his GM authority to give Kayla an invitation letter as a new player. Kayla took the invitation and left. Soon, Kayla brought her sister Alex into the game. Evan, long time no see. Alex said hello to Evan who was sunbathing on the beach chair. Yeah, long time no see. The sun is going to set here. Do you want to be a guest at my house? Evan asked. No, some time ago, Kayla told me a lot of interesting things about your game world, and I plan to let Kayla take me around. Okay, have fun. Evan nodded. So Alex followed Kayla around. Because it was already dusk, Evan and Wanda stopped sunbathing and returned to the villa not far away. Marvel Movie Universe, new timeline, it's dusk over there too. Gwen said goodbye to Gwen number 2, Judy said goodbye to Wanda number 2, and the two returned home to the public area of the game world. During dinner, Wanda said to Evan, Dear, when are you going to add new public areas to the game? There are too few public areas now, and I'm almost tired of playing. I'm also looking forward to the new public area attractions, and we have lived in the public area at Malibu Beach for a long enough time. Let's change our residence, preferably a new area and new residence that only we can enter. Gwen agreed. Road. When the next game version is updated, 2 new areas will be added, one as our private world and the other as a new public area. Evan said. Is it just our little world? I'm starting to look forward to it. Wang Tian said. It's best to be in a place with beautiful scenery. Gwen also said. That night, late at night, Wanda, Gwen, Judy, Kayla, and Laura were all asleep. Evan came to the living room alone, sat on the sofa, and looked at the system panel. After a period of fermentation, the fortunes of many players have experienced significant deviations, which gave Evan 120,000 redemption points. This is a huge fortune for Evan. The amount is enough to exchange for cultivation techniques. But Evan is not sure whether to choose the cultivation system. Because this system requires a lot of time to practice. If you choose this, you will inevitably have to practice in seclusion in the game world for a long time in the future. The reason for hesitation is that on the cultivation method page of the exchange mall, there are many systems that are no less than cultivation, such as various fantasy systems. In terms of combat effectiveness, the fantasy system is no worse than the cultivation system, and the upper limits are also extremely high. Currently, there are 2 techniques that Evan prefers. They are not the strongest techniques, but they only require 100,000 redemption points to redeem them. The first one is the Immortal Heaven Kung Fu from the plane of covering the sky, created by the Ruthless Emperor. This thing can probably be regarded as an enhanced version of the sky-swallowing demon technique. The technique comes with a series of magical powers, such as the Deo Aquarius, the Holy Art of 10,000 Transformations, the Immortal Art of 10,000 Transformations, Flowers Bloom with One Thought, Dominate the World, Heaven-Slaying Deo, I Only Respect the Holy Art, 3,000 Small Worlds, God-Saving Art, Flying Immortal Art, etc. are all included. The second one comes from the prehistoric plane and is the superior skill 8-9 mysterious skills taught by Chan. After practicing this magical skill, you can master all kinds of magical powers and spells, and master the 72 transformation skills. All birds and animals in the world can be transformed. Mountains, rocks, grass, and trees, yin and yang and the 5 elements, everything is changing, and the wonderful use of it lies in one mind. If, I, 89 mysterious skills are cultivated to 9 turns, then as long as the soul is immortal, the physical body will not die. Even if the physical body is destroyed, it can be resurrected through the operation of magical powers, and it can be resurrected indefinitely. The upper limit of the two exercises should be almost the same. The upper limit of Immortal Heaven technique only reaches the Great Emperor level of the Heaven Shading technique. What? You said that the Mortal Immortal is also a realm? That's not a skill at all, it requires 9 lifetimes of qualifications. The upper limit of 89 mysterious skills can reach the Quasi-Sage realm. It's really hard to compare these two systems. The Great Emperor who covers the sky is the one who picks up the stars and the sun and the moon. He destroys and refines the entire star field at every turn. The prehistoric world is divided into 3, 6, and 9 levels: low-end prehistoric, mid-range prehistoric, high-end prehistoric, and mythical prehistoric. The lower limit is very low, and the upper limit is terrifyingly high. The 89 mysterious skills that can be exchanged for 100,000 exchange points is not the system of the mythical Deluo, it is probably only at the mid-range prehistoric level. Judging from the value of the two skills, the upper limits of the two should be similar. Although the Emperor who covers the sky cannot live forever, his combat power should be comparable to that of the Quasi-Sage in the mid-prehistoric realm. A mid-level prehistoric Quasi-Sage can probably be compared to a high-end prehistoric Deluo. The high-end ancient Deluo could only be compared to the mythical true immortal of the mythical ancient world. In other words, Emperor Zishan's combat power is comparable to that of a mythical true immortal. Well, the above judgment is purely based on Evan's head and cannot be taken seriously. The purpose of practice is to live longer. But in the case of immortality, the sky-covering method, which is better at killing, has become a better choice. So Evan exchanged the immortal art of the heaven shading method. The knowledge of the exercises automatically came to Evan's mind. The division of realms in this system is the same as described in a certain novel. It focuses on the secret realm and is divided into the secret realm of the Will Sea, the secret realm of the Tau Palace, the secret realm of the Four Poles, the secret realm of the Dragon, and the secret realm of the Fairy Platform. Judging from Evan's current combat effectiveness, he is probably equivalent to a strong person on the first level of the Sendai secret realm in this system, and cannot be compared to those above him. Because Sendai 2 can destroy the continent, Sendai 3 can destroy ordinary planets, and Sendai 4 can travel across the sea of stars and shatter the stars with his wave of hands. There are 9 levels in the Sendai secret realm, and the improvement that can be obtained at each level is even more exaggerated than the previous secret realms combined and multiplied by 100. How can this compare? With this technique, Evan will not have nothing to do for some time in the future. He tried practicing. He discovered that this immortal heavenly power had been magically modified by the game system. While its power was not reduced, it could adapt to various environments. For example, now, Evan has discovered that he can convert various forms of energy, whether it is electrical energy, kinetic energy, or vector energy. Various forms of energy can be refined by his practice and turned into the cause of his own cultivation. In other words, he can practice the immortal art anywhere, even if there is no spiritual energy in that place. Chapter 90. On this day, Evan received a message from Pepper. Pepper told him that Tony was planning to hold an offline exchange meeting for players of the Marvel superhero game in the real world, scheduled for 7 p.m. 3 days later at the Avengers Alliance headquarters. Like Evan, Wanda, Gwen, Kayla, Laura, Judy, and others also received invitation messages from Pepper. What is he planning to do by organizing an offline exchange meeting for players? Gwen was puzzled. I guess he's just bored. Wanda complained. Are we going to attend? Judy asked. It's rare to see excitement, why not go? Evan said. So everyone replied to Xiao one after another, saying that they would attend this offline exchange meeting at that time. Also receiving this invitation are all the players in the game. It was evening 3 days later. Evan, Gwen, Wanda, Kayla, Laura, and Judy all dressed up and drove to Xylean headquarters. The driver was Abigail. Although Abigail is a simulated robot, she is also a player. But only Evan's family knew that Abigail was a robot, and other players thought Abigail was a human. After arriving at the destination, parking the car, everyone came to the banquet hall. It's very lively here, and all the players who should come are here. These people are Tony, Pepper Potts, Fury, Hill, Natasha Romanoff, Sharon, Phil Coulson, Strange, Christine, Captain America, Thor, Yelena, Banner, Peter, Falcon, Barton. Loki and Frigga didn't come. The former didn't come because he didn't want to be beaten. The latter didn't come simply because he didn't want to participate in these young people's gatherings because the generation gap was too big. At this time, it was a relatively private party. The only people attending the banquet, excluding Dr. Bruce Banner, were players of the Marvel superhero game. Apart from that, not even an ordinary staff member could be seen. The banquet is a buffet. You can just grab whatever you want to eat or drink. Evan, wearing a formal suit, smiled and greeted everyone here. Wanda and others who came with Evan were all stunningly beautiful in their evening gowns. In the eyes of outsiders, Evan's family is full of beauties. Just as Wanda complained at the beginning, Tony Stark held this offline player exchange meeting for no purpose. He just wanted to hold a party to discuss their experiences in exploring the dungeon. Not long ago, I went to an exploration dungeon. It was very scary there. The souls of people there would not rest in peace after death, but would also turn into a special kind of soul crystal. That kind of crystal has many functions and is regarded by people in that world as to use currency. Over there, if you don't want to do business, the only way to make money is to kill people and harvest other people's souls. Phil Coulson told everyone about the exploration dungeon he had experienced before. To be honest, that dungeon was that's terrible. It's hard to imagine how terrible the world will be when human lives are linked to money. Evan thought to himself that the world that the other party experienced must be some kind of Soul-style world. Remember that in various Souls series games, players will obtain souls after killing enemies. Souls are currency, which can be used not only for shopping, but also to strengthen themselves. Although the world you are talking about sounds scary, it is definitely not as dangerous as the exploration copy I experienced before. Hawkeye Clint Barton spoke, and he continued, the place I went to is the planet's surface ecosystem. It has been completely destroyed by nuclear war, and humans have moved to live underground. However, underground in that world, there are many passages extending in all directions. There are many terrible underground creatures living there, which often attack human settlements. In this harsh survival under the conditions, the total number of humans in that world is less than 1 million, and they are facing the threat of extinction at any time. It seems that your luck is not very good. The place I went to before was very peaceful, even more peaceful than our world. There was no magic, no super ability, and no aliens invading the Earth. In that world there are only ordinary people. Although there were 2 world wars there, they have been very comfortable since World War II, Yelena said. Speaking of Yelena, she and Natasha Romanoff have already met in the game world, and through Natasha Romanoff, they informed the Avengers about the Red Room organization. With the help of the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D, the Red Room organization has been eradicated in advance. All the Black Widow agents of the Red House organization were freed. 0, please give me flowers. Nick Fury also recruited some talents from those Black Widow agents, but more Black Widow agents chose to return to a quiet life. Peter and Yelena and I also experienced an exploration instance. It was also the Earth over there, and it was in the near future era. The New York over there was not called New York, but the City of Night. It was a paradise of crime and a city of sin. Thousands of people died every day. In that world, prosthetic transformation was popular, which meant replacing human limbs and internal organs with machines, turning humans into half human, half machine. There was a family business there called Arezaka. The CEO of Arezaka company is named Saburo Arezaka. He wants to achieve cyber immortality through technology, that is, to create a simulated human robot and then upload his own memory into it to achieve immortality. But in that world, no one knows, human beings also have souls in addition to memories. If only memories are uploaded but not souls, the person with cyber immortality will no longer be himself, even if he looks like himself. Evan also talked about his own experience. Little Spider-Man and Yelena nodded, indicating that this was indeed the case. Tony Stark's eyes lit up and he asked the 3 of them, didn't you get some technology from that world? While I was there, Evan paid for me to go to a training center for implant technology. I learned a lot there. Now I am an engineer in implant technology. Little Spider-Man held his head high and said proudly. I did gain something, but it's definitely not as much as Peter Parker. Yelena shrugged, she lied. Tony Stark said to Little Spider-Man, let's talk after the party is over. I'm quite interested in that kind of technology. Okay, Mr. Stark. Little Spider-Man nodded. Tony Stark looked at Evan again and asked, Can cyber immortality really be achieved? Many people present pricked up their ears and were obviously more concerned about this issue. It has been implemented in my laboratory. If any of you want cyber immortality in the future, you can come to me for consultation and transformation, and I can give you a preferential price. Evan did not hide this matter, anyway. No need. Chapter 91. Skipping the topic of cyber immortality, everyone resumed the previous topic. The world I went to was quite special. The level of technology there was equivalent to that of the 1930s. Certain groups there mastered an ability they called ninjutsu. It was called ninjutsu, but in my opinion, it is more like a kind of magic. Those so-called ninjas can control thunder, control storms, change the earth, and control water flow. After investigating this matter, I tried to sneak into the ninja village of that world and try to learn their magic ability, but for some reason, I can't practice the chakra energy that is close to magic as they say. Sharon said. Evan knows all the exploration dungeon worlds that players have experienced because players have submitted information about those worlds. The world of 457 that Sharon experienced was the world of Naruto. Generally speaking, spiritual practice requires physical fitness, not physical quality, but a special physical constitution. For example, if you have the blood of a witch, you can easily master magic if you have this blood. However, those without this blood will need a lot of time to learn. I guess the chakra system Sharon mentioned requires a special physique to practice. To verify this is very simple, just see if everyone in that world can practice chakra. If so, it means my speculation is wrong. Wanda said. Even in that world, not everyone can practice. I think your judgment is correct. Sharon said. Isn't there a system that ordinary people can practice? It was Maria Hill who asked this question. Like most people, Maria Hill is just ordinary, but if given the chance, she also aspires to be extraordinary. In her opinion, the Marvel superhero game is a platform that can make people extraordinary. Evan replied, generally speaking, there are two types of supernatural systems, one relying on the environment and the other relying on oneself. Let's talk about what depends on the environment first. Take our universe as an example. It is said that the universe has gone through many reincarnations. In each reincarnation, the universe's personalized consciousness of eternity and infinity will renew itself. It is said that magic existed in the sky of the universe in the past. Until our era, which is called the seventh universe, the magic was eliminated by the original universe. In this era, if we want to use magic to perform magic, we need to borrow magic from other dimensions of time and space, but this is often accompanied by a price, that is, the cost of casting spells. As soon as Evan said this, Stephen Strange nodded and said, I don't know what it was like in the past era of the universe, but in today's era, casting spells does require a price. This has become a common sense among the magician group. Evan said, Kamartaj's magic is actually a practice system that relies on the environment, but what they rely on is not our real environment, but an alien dimensional environment. They need to communicate with the alien dimensional space through meditation and borrow magic power from there. We can assume that in other worlds, there is magic-like energy in the environment, which can be absorbed by people in that world for practice, which will create different practice systems in different worlds. This is what I call a practice system that relies on the environment. This system has no universality and will have no effect once it leaves a specific environment. Then there is the second type of practice, which relies on one's own practice. This type of practice generally requires the consumption of one's own vitality and mental energy. Vitality refers to cellular energy. As long as it is not excessively consumed, it can be used as a way to lose weight. And mental power refers to our energy. In some practice systems, practitioners can refine their own vitality into magic power, or combine their vitality with spiritual power to refine other supernatural energies, so as to display some super abilities. I think this is the chakra system Sharon mentioned. If the chakra system relies on itself, then why can't I practice? Sharon asked puzzledly. Because you lack a primer. If you are compared to a water tank, then the primer is the dye. Only when the dye is present can you dye the water in your body into the color of chakra. To that world, you are just an outsider, and the dye called chakra does not exist in your body, so no matter how you practice, you cannot obtain chakra. Evan said. So that's it. Sharon suddenly realized. There is another common sense, which Mr. Stephen Strange should be familiar with. Different worlds, different time and space dimensions, and rules are different. Some cultivation systems are only suitable for those other worlds, but if they are put into our world, they will lose any it works. Evan shrugged. Yes, as we are familiar with the mirror, the world in the mirror also exists in mysticism. You can enter it using magic. It is called the mirror space by us magicians. There is a big difference between the rules of the mirror space and reality. Stephen Strange nodded. It turns out there are so many twists and turns. It seems that occultism is a very complicated subject. Tony Stark sighed. Skipping the topic of occultism, everyone continued to talk about Otherworld. This time it's Nick Fury telling, the place I went to was a world called the Junction. That world was similar to the medieval fantasy style. There were gods, demigods, outer gods, and omniscient and omnipotent supreme will. There were also Titans 4.7, demi-humans, and elves in that world. Humans, a long time ago over there, something happened. An object symbolizing the rules of the world was smashed by the goddess of that world, which caused chaos in the rules and order of that world, and many people went crazy. And in that world some sealed ancient gods also spread their power into the world. I know a goddess named Scarlet Corruption. She spread her power and polluted many areas. People in those areas will hear the whispers of the ancient gods. Those whispers can destroy the human mind, and can also infect the human body like a virus, causing some malignant mutations in the human body and the growth of terrible tumors. What Nick Fury said is obviously the place where the story of Elden's Ring takes place. Chapter 92. Are you sure you are not talking about a Thulhu story? Why are the whispers of the ancient gods coming out? Tony Stark complained about Nick Fury. Although there is no Thulhu there, the style of painting is indeed very similar. When I first arrived there, I appeared in an area called Nimgulf and met a ghost named Melina. She thought I was a fated person and wanted to become the king of Elden, so she took the initiative. Became my guide. I didn't know much about that place at the time, so I took an adventure under the guidance of the female ghost, and obtained a lot of things called runes there. Melina was able to turn the runes into power. To strengthen my body. During the adventure, I encountered many enemies. Ordinary enemies were fine, but those enemies known as the Golden Family were all demigods. I ended up dying at the hands of a demigod named Latane. After death, I returned to the public area and found that all the physical strengthening I had received in that instance of the world had been retained. Those 08 types of strengthening called runes are not only effective in the game world, but are still effective even when returning to the real world. Nick Fury did not hide this fact because he knew it was important information that needed to be shared. The reason why he would do this is also because the players of this game are all from the Order camp, otherwise he would definitely not disclose this information. Very good. In addition to the DC superhero world, the near-future cyberpunk world, the post-waste underground world, and the world of ninjas, we have another insight into the world of Thulhu style. Natasha Romanoff shrugged. Since you have all said it, let me also talk about my experience in exploring the dungeon world. The person who spoke this time was Stephen Strange. You should be familiar with the world I went to. In that world, Hog exists. Watts, yes, it's the Hogwarts described in a movie by Mr. Evan Films. What I'm saying is, that world really exists, I'm sure of it. After I arrived in that world, I was very confused at first. I didn't know where I had come. I only knew that I was in the Foggy City. Until I met Hermione Granger, an 11-year-old girl who looked familiar to me. I went to chat with her and then I was sure where I was. At that time, I thought I had entered the world in the story, and because I was curious about the magic there, I used the magic of the Camartage school to transform myself into an 11-year-old boy and blended into the Huo people. Quartz. I learned a lot of things there, including magic, alchemy, and potions. All that magic knowledge is real, and even now after returning, I can still use the magic in that knowledge. From this we can judge that the story world of Harry Potter is real. After hearing Stephen Strange's story, everyone was surprised. The story world of Harry Potter actually exists. This makes everyone very confused. Why is the story described in the movie the reality of Otherworld? This is not the first time this has happened, because Evans Film and Television Company has also produced the DC superhero series, but there is a copy of the DC superhero in the game world. Seeing everyone looking at him, Evan spread his hands and said, I can't explain this phenomenon, but I have a theory. Multi-universe deduces all the possibilities of our world. Under this premise, everything is possible. Stories will all take place in different parallel time and space. Outside of the multi-universe, the omnipotent universe contains countless multi-universes. Different multi-universes have different world laws. When the number of multi-universes is infinite, perhaps we can discover, many of the stories we are familiar with will definitely be played out in different universes. Your theory is quite new. Tony Stark was surprised. However, Evan's theory can indeed solve some problems. Everyone had a chat about the topic of multi-universe and omnipotent universe. After that, they continued the previous topic. This time it was Pepper who spoke. The world I went to was nothing special, but I met two guys there, Max George Black and Caroline Weisber Channing. One of them was once a rich girl. Later, the family went bankrupt. The other one wanted to get rid of poverty and become rich. I gave them some money-making ideas and helped them get out of poverty, and then I returned. She had gone to the world of bankrupt sisters, and she actually helped the bankrupt sisters get out of poverty and become rich. That's very funny. Next up is Captain America. Captain America said, "The world I experienced was similar to Fury's. It was also in a medieval fantasy style, but not in a Thulhu style. I appeared in a special village over there, where a race called hobbits lived. Hobbits are generally not tall. He was tall and looked like a dwarf. I met a hobbit named Bill Baggins there and went on an adventure with him. During the adventure, I met elves and necromancers and the like. Killed a dragon. Everyone has watched the Lord of the Rings series and knows the story of the Hobbit, but Captain America himself does not know. Because when this story was published, Captain America was still lying dead in the ice. After Captain America was unearthed, I didn't have time to read novels or movies. But the fact that the story has become a reality has undoubtedly once again proved the correctness of Evan's theory." After discussing their respective experiences in the exploration dungeon, everyone began to discuss the DC dungeon. Not many of you have read DC Sub 357 recently. I guess you don't know that Lex Luthor of the Luthor Group is studying the corpses of Kryptonian generals and others. I am afraid that Doomsday will be born in the next few days. Pepper talked about his discovery. Compared with everyone else, Pepper often goes to the DC World dungeon, and she is the only one who notices this. After hearing this, Kayla took it seriously. Although the Earth's Doomsday event has nothing to do with Kayla on Earth 38, Kayla thinks she needs to participate. Most people present have watched the DC movie series produced by Evan Company, including Dawn of Justice, so everyone knows about this incident. Knowing that this incident was going to happen, no one had much motivation to participate, because there was not much benefit to be gained from this incident, but it was very dangerous. Even if you participate, the most you can do is become familiar with Batman and others, and then Batman will take notice of you and write down your weaknesses in a little black book. Even if Superman is successfully rescued, the favor doesn't mean much. Superman is too great and upright. If you want to use Superman, the reason must be upright. Otherwise, you won't be able to use Superman. Only Evan is very interested in this incident. He plans to team up with Kayla later and go to the DC world to increase his presence. Chapter 93. The next morning, during breakfast, Kayla said she wanted to go to the metropolis of Earth because she was more concerned about the upcoming Doomsday event. "Let me observe the situation over there first," Evan said. After he finished speaking, he activated the quantum observation ability. His sight spanned time, space, and dimensions, and he observed DC Universe Earth 0. After a while, Evan's observation ended. Lex Luthor is plotting against Superman and Batman. The Doomsday event will happen within the next 2 days. Evan said his observation results. "I'll go over and remind my cousin." Kayla didn't even bother to eat breakfast. She used the game copy function to hurriedly descend to DC Earth. "Doomsday is not easy to deal with," Wanda said. "Let me go and have a look," Evan said to Wanda and others, then stood up and left. As soon as Kayla came to Earth, she went to find Superman. She was very fast, and at the moment she had arrived at Superman's house, met Superman, told Fang Yan that she was his cousin Kayla, and informed Lex Luthor of his conspiracy. For Kayla, Superman is trustworthy. When Superman learned that Lex Luthor was planning to kidnap his adoptive mother, Martha Kent, he was terrified. "Cousin, I want to ask you to do me a favor. Can you go to Smallville to take care of me for a few days?" "No problem, but you have to be careful about Lex Luthor. He is studying the corpses of generals and others, and he may create a monster called Doomsday." Kayla agreed to her and warned him before flying went to Kansas to protect Superman's adoptive mother, Martha Kent. Superman was just about to change his outfit and confront Lex Luthor when he found Evan visiting his home. Superman still remembers Evan, who claimed to be Kayla's husband last time they met. "I guess you're going to find Lex Luthor." "I'm right," Evan said. "That's right, Kayla just came here and told me about Luthor's conspiracy, and I'm going to stop him." 17 I don't think it's appropriate. Although you are powerful, you are too kind and can easily be plotted by smart people like Lex Luthor. I suggest you go next door to find Batman first to resolve the misunderstanding between you and expose Lex Luthor's conspiracy. Tell him it would be safer. Evan gave Superman a suggestion. Evan had a gut feeling that if Superman went to Lex Luthor like this, he would probably suffer a big loss. You know, Lex Luthor has kryptonite. And Lex Luthor is a popular villain in DC. In terms of popularity, he is not much worse than Superman. From a metaphysical point of view, Lex Luthor must have good luck as a villain, and he is also a fan of Superman. Chief. Lex is to Superman what Oda is to Batman. If it were just Superman who faced his fateful enemy in the past, he might be at a disadvantage. At this time, it is easier to achieve the goal by changing another method. For example, let Batman deal with Lex Luthor, and let smart people deal with smart people. As for Superman, let's just be honest and support Batman, so that we can maximize his advantages instead of being targeted at the beginning. I don't think Lex Luthor will be my opponent. Superman obviously didn't listen to Evan's words. Superman believes in his own strength. If his opponent is just an ordinary person like Luthor, he doesn't think he will suffer. Evan rolled his eyes and simply used the secondary creation technique to create a piece of green kryptonite the size of a fingernail file out of thin air. At the same time, Evan activated a protective spell to prevent himself from being affected by kryptonite. After all, he had been transplanted with Kryptonian blood, and theoretically kryptonite could also harm him. Lex Luthor has this thing, it can make you weak, your self-confidence will be vulnerable in front of this stone. Superman is facing kryptonite, and his body is weakening rapidly. What is this? Superman was shocked and hurriedly took several steps back, away from the radiation range of kryptonite, and then his body gradually recovered. Before today, Superman had never known that there was such a thing in the world that could restrain himself. This is kryptonite. It's something from your hometown. It can degrade your cells, disable your super ability, and make you worse than ordinary humans. Unless you kill Lex Luthor with heat vision from a long distance, otherwise I don't recommend you to approach him, because there must be a lot of such things around him. Once you approach him, you will be targeted by him immediately. I guess you are definitely not willing to kill, so I suggest you go first. Looking for Batman. Evan put away the kryptonite. Superman was finally convinced by Evan and decided to go to the brother city next door to find Batman. After Superman left, Evan also prepared to leave, but he was stopped by Lois. Miss Lois, what can I do? I just heard the exchange between you and Clark, and I want to know, why did Lex Luthor target the Clark body? Do you know what Clark's relationship is with Lex Luthor? Clark told me that they were classmates and friends in high school. Yes, they were friends. During that period, Lex Luthor discovered Clark's specialness in an accident. He was very envious of Clark's ability. However, some subsequent experiences gradually distorted Lex Luthor's psychology. On the one hand, he longed for Lex Luthor admired Clark's godlike power, but was jealous of Clark's ability. Until Clark debuted as a superhero, he became increasingly dissatisfied with Clark's compassionate attitude and thought the opponent was hypocritical. Lex Luthor wanted to prove that people can defeat God, in order to break the longing for Superman. This is Wang Li Zhao's reason for targeting Superman. Isn't this just a psychopath? Lois' eyes widened and he couldn't believe that Lex Luthor was such a person. I won't comment on what kind of person the other party is. You'd better be careful these days. If Lex Luthor wants to deal with Superman, he may start with the people around him. You may be targeted by Lex Luthor. Evan warned. Lois said goodbye and left. At the moment, Wonder Woman Diana was also in Metropolis. She got the news from somewhere and learned that Lex Luthor had photos of herself, Steve Trevor and others taken during World War I, so she came to investigate. At this moment, Wonder Woman is having breakfast in a restaurant. Evan, who left Superman's house, also came to this restaurant. He came here specifically to find Wonder Woman. Chapter 94. Evan walked into the restaurant and sat directly in front of Diana. "Beauty, can I sit here?" Diana Prince raised her head and looked at the person who had already sat down. She was about to reply, but when she saw the appearance of the person opposite, she was slightly startled. She couldn't help but frown, as if she was recalling something, and then she spoke uncertainly, "You look familiar. Have we met somewhere?" This time it was Evan's turn to be stunned. Before today, Evan had never met Diana. Evan came here because he discovered that Diana was here during his previous quantum observation, and he just came here to get acquainted with her. But the other party's reaction when seeing him was very wrong. "This should be the first time we meet," Evan said. "Maybe I got the wrong person, but I really think you look familiar." "Who are you?" "Evan Nelson, what about you?" "Diana Prince." "Can you tell me why you look familiar to me?" Evan was curious. "Yes, I seldom went out when I was a child and always stayed in my hometown. Until one day, an outsider arrived. She claimed to have been shipwrecked and moved to my hometown, but it turned out that she lied. Her form of existence is very special. There are mechanical structures under the skin, much like robots often mentioned in science fiction novels. She can also change her appearance, but only I know about this. Once, when she performed shape-shifting on me, she turned into a man. That look is very similar to what you 833 look like now." After hearing what Diana said, Evan probably figured out what was going on. Perhaps sometime in the future, a certain robot in Evan's family traveled through time and space, returned to the past of this world, and went to the Paradise Island at that time, where he met the Diana of the past. "Can I ask her name?" "Her name is Abigail Dorothy," Diana answered. "Really?" Diana saw Evan's expression of understanding and realized that he might know Abigail. "You know her?" "I am her creator. If possible, I would like to meet her." "Okay." Evan also wanted to find out what was going on, so he agreed. He first activated his psychic ability to let the people in the restaurant ignore the abnormality here, and then summoned Abigail out of thin air. Today, Abigail is wearing a plaid shirt, pencil pants, and high heels, looking very fashionable. "Father, are you looking for me?" Abigail looked at Evangelist. "It's not me, she's looking for you." Evan pointed at Diana. Abigail looked at Diana again. When she was in the Marvel world, Abigail had watched the Wonder Woman movie and knew that she was the heroine, so she greeted her, "Good morning, Abe J, Miss Prince. Long time no see, Abigail." Diana looked very emotional when she saw this acquaintance. "You know me?" Abigail was puzzled. "You don't recognize me anymore? Has your memory been formatted?" Diana was surprised. "I've never formatted my memory." "Then what's going on?" Diana was confused. "I probably guessed the reason." Abigail thought for a few seconds and figured out the problem by herself. Then she heard her say, "Recently, I am studying quantum reset technology and have made breakthrough progress. I plan to conduct an experiment about time travel. So, the person I met back then is actually you in the future." Diana opened her mouth slightly, thinking this was outrageous. "That should be it." Abigail nodded. Evan was also surprised. He didn't expect that Abigail would quietly technologicalize the super ability of quantum reset. The other party's evolution speed was faster than that of Skynet and Ultron, the seniors in the artificial intelligence world. Not to mention giving in too much. Evan couldn't help but start to reflect on whether he paid too little attention to Abigail on weekdays, and even didn't know that the other party had developed such a technique. "Our own robot is going to defy the heavens." Immediately, Evan came up with a creative usage based on Abigail. So he said to Abigail, "Let me add a new function for you later, that should be fun." "Okay, father." Diana came back to her senses. She stared at Abigail and said, "Abigail, I want to ask you a favor." "Please say." "I have never met my father. When I first found out who my father was, he was already dead. I want to ask you to take me back to the past. I want to meet him." Diana said about her self-request. Abigail did not directly agree to Diana, but looked at Evangelist Evan said, "I will transform you first. After the transformation is completed, let's test your technological version of quantum reset together." "Okay, father." The three of them walked out of the restaurant, found a hotel and booked a suite. Evan replaced Abigail's shell and enchanted it here. Shell replacement was completed quickly. A lot of complex and mysterious Olympus enchantment runes were imprinted under the bionic skin of Abigail's body. By Evangelist Diana watched curiously, and she discovered that the enchantment applied by Evan was very similar to the enchantment on her artifact suit, and they were both Olympus-style enchantments. Could it be that the other party is a Greek god? In all her life, Diana had never seen any other old god except Ares, the god of war. If Evan is a Greek god, who is his true identity? Could it be his relative? The other party is so proficient in Olympus enchantment, could it be his brother Hephaestus, the god of fire? The more she thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Only Vulcan can create such a magical self-disciplined doll as Abigail. Evan didn't know yet that Diana had made him into a god of fire, otherwise he would be dumbfounded. Not long after, his transformation of Abigail was over. After being enchanted by Olympus, Abigail has a new function. The material of her body was replaced with the magic metal mithril, and after being blessed with a lot of enchantments, she was already a robot version of an artifact, which was not easily damaged and also had an extra portable space in her body. The portable space has been enchanted, the internal environment is transformed by magic, and the scenery is beautiful. Evan took Diana, got into Abigail's body, and entered that space. The volume of this space can almost fit an ordinary small town into it. Here you can see blue sky and white clouds, lakes and streams, dense forests, and a cabin in the forest. Everything here is a magical illusion, similar to a blindfold, but as long as you are in it, everything is visible and tangible. Ordinary people will not see anything unusual when they come here. But if it is in the eyes of someone with skills such as piercing eyes, some clues will be seen. This is. Diana saw that Evan had brought her to a strange place. She didn't know that this was Abigail's body. Song could tell that the environment here was very inconsistent. Before Diana was born, she was blessed with the sight of Athena, which enabled her to see through all obstacles and not be affected by psychic abilities. In Diana's eyes, the magically transformed environment here felt inconsistent, as if nothing was real. This is Abigail's body. I created a space inside her body, a space where people can live. Chapter 95. Creating a habitable space inside Abigail's body was Evan's idea. Real humanoid self-propelled villa. When you get bored in the future, you can live in Abigail's body to experience the novelty, and you can also stay inside and drive Abigail around like a Gundam pilot driving a Gundam. This idea didn't make any practical sense to Evan, but it was fun. When Diana learned that this place was inside Abigail's body, her expression became subtle. How did such a large space fit into Abigail's body? Sure enough, it's not technology, it's magic, right? Diana became more confident in her speculation that Evan might be a relative of hers. Evan took Diana and walked into the cabin in the forest here. Abigail, now let's try your technological version of quantum reset. Evan said to the air. Okay, father. Abigail's voice rang out of nowhere in the wooden house. A two-dimensional water curtain appeared in front of Evan and Diana. The content displayed on the water curtain is what Abigail sees, making it easier for Evan and Diana to view the outside world. The purely technological version of quantum reset time travel was launched by Abigail. Abigail began to travel through time and space, and in just a moment, he returned to the 15th century where Evan had been. The time point is in the past, a few days after Evan left. Father, we have arrived in Florence, Italy in 1470. Abigail's voice rang in the room in the inner space. Historical records show that Leonardo da Vinci was in Florence during this period. There are many paintings by da Vinci where I work, such as the Mona Lisa's smile. Diana heard this. It is natural to think of Leonardo da Vinci. Mona Lisa's smile was not painted in 1470, when Lisa Gradini was not even born yet. Evan shrugged. But there is also a saying that Lisa Gradini is Leonardo da Vinci's vest. Diana thought of an interesting saying for later generations. Oh, I know, but that was obviously made up by later generations who had enough to eat and had nothing to do and thought too much. Evan rolled his eyes and then changed the subject. Don't you want to see your father? During this period, your father should be in the heaven realm, and you should have a way to go to the Olympus mountain in the heaven realm. I heard that limbo hell is connected to the 8 divine realms, and it seems that you can go to heaven through there. If that doesn't work, I can still pray to the goddess. My prayers will definitely reach the ears of the goddess. Please ask them to pick me up. Anna said. Are you really planning to go to heaven? If I remember correctly, you are the illegitimate daughter of Zeus, so aren't you afraid of meeting Hera there? Evan looked strange. Evan has read several comics from the DC series. In the new 52 Wonder Woman comics, Hera learned that Zeus and Amazon Queen Hippolyta had killed people, and rage descended on Paradise Island, cursing all the Amazons. Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons, was turned into a stone statue, while all the other Amazons were turned into snakes by Hera. For Diana to go to the heavenly realm and Mount Olympus to find Zeus to marry her, something was definitely going to happen. After listening to Evan's reminder, Diana also realized this problem. Hera's jealousy was by no means just a legend. Diana felt that it was better not to take the initiative to get in front of Hera. Then I will contact the goddess through prayer. I remember that the god of love is at odds with Hera. If it is the god of love, he should be willing to help me, right? Then you don't have to pray. Cupid and little Cupid are both in Florence. Where are they? Beauty and the Beast shop. Evan and Diana emerged from Abigail's body and headed to the store together. Not long after, the three of them arrived at their destination. Diana pushed the door open and walked in first. Evan and Abigail followed closely behind. The clerk in this store is, as expected, still the super beauty, but her hair color is no longer the red it used to be, but has turned blonde. Maybe she dyed her hair? The blonde counterpart is obviously more beautiful. It should be said that she is worthy of the golden Aphrodite. The goddess of love and beauty is not called for nothing. The blonde beauty raised her head, looked at Diana, raised her eyebrows and said, "An Amazonian, and an Amazonian who has been blessed by me, this is really a rare visitor." The blonde beauty looked at Abigail again, slightly surprised, a magic doll. Finally she looked at Evan, "Kid, you're here again. Do you miss your sister?" "I came with her." Evan pointed at Diana. "Excuse me, are you the goddess Aphrodite?" Diana asked uncertainly, staring at the blonde beauty sitting at the counter. In terms of relationship, Aphrodite can also be considered a relative of Diana. Aphrodite is the little p of Uranus, the first god-king of the Greek pantheon, who was transformed into a shell from the sea. Therefore, she is the incarnation of lust. She can be considered the daughter of the first god-king Uranus, so she has a very high seniority, and is the same as the second-generation god-king Uranus. God-king Cronus is of the same generation. 0. Please give me flowers. In terms of relationship, Diana called Aphrodite her aunt. However, considering that Aphrodite's husband is Hephaestus, the god of fire, and the god of fire is Diana's brother, if that is the case, Diana can also call Aphrodite her sister-in-law. Aphrodite also had an affair and gave birth to a child by Ares, the god of war. The child was the little Eros, the god of love, corresponding to Cupid, the god of love in Roman mythology. Interestingly, regardless of whether Aphrodite's child belongs to the god of fire or the god of war, the child is Diana's nephew and uncle. Everyone understands the relationship between members of the Greek pantheon. Aphrodite sighed, "Amazon, you look a lot like Hippolyta back then. Like you, she also had the equipment you were wearing. She fought bravely on the battlefield and could even compete with Hercules. Up and down. If it weren't for Zeus's conspiracy, you Amazons wouldn't have been forced to the seaside by the humans at that time, and finally boarded Poseidon's ship and arrived at Paradise Island." This story is from the comic The Real Amazons. "You mean, our Amazon has been plotted by Zeus?" Diana was shocked. What did her father do back then? Back then, Zeus fell in love with the beauty of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. In order to marry her, he disguised himself as a human soldier, mixed into the human camp, and encouraged the Mycenaean kingdom to launch a campaign against the Amazon kingdom living in the mountainous area. In order to prevent the war, Zeus even asked Hercules to join the human side and become the commander-in-chief. Hercules invited the Amazon queen to fight in front of the city gate of the Amazon kingdom. One of the Amazon queen's sisters named Ella came out of the city to fight, but was beheaded by Heracles. After that, the war broke out. The Amazons are very brave, but there are more human soldiers, and Hercules and Zeus disguised as humans lead the army. The Amazons are beaten back and forth, with no account of casualties. Finally, they are forced to the seaside, with no way to retreat. Retreat? Later, Hera discovered Zeus's conspiracy in time, and took the initiative to contact her brother Poseidon, and asked Poseidon to send ships to fetch the Amazons and escape to the sea, so that the Amazons could safely come to Paradise Island. Aphrodite slowly told the story of that year. Chapter 96. Thanks for the monthly pass of I'll buy you some oranges. Did Zeus succeed? Diana asked a stupid question, could she be born into this world, and Zeus obviously succeeded in sleeping with the Amazon queen. But the time point may not be that event, but even later. The Amazons are Hera's army in the human world. At that time, Hera already knew that Zeus was interested in the Queen of Amazons. She would definitely guard Zeus closely. I guess Zeus would not succeed so easily. Aphrodite said. He has succeeded, and Diana's existence is the best proof. Evan vomited. Hey! Aphrodite raised her eyebrows, and she looked at Diana in surprise, so you are the daughter of Zeus and the Amazon queen. Diana nodded with a complicated expression. I see. No wonder Hippolyta prayed to us when she was pregnant, asking the gods to bless the child in her belly. Zeus expressed his support for the first time. The truth turns out to be like this. Aphrodite was stunned. After learning about your father's glorious deeds, do you still plan to see him? Evan asked Diana. The father Diana had always wanted to see was the murderer of many of her people. Evan wanted to know what Diana's state of mind was like at the moment. Diana was an Amazon after all. After learning about that incident, she no longer thought about her father. I don't want to see him anymore. Diana gritted her teeth. I don't recommend that you go and recognize your relatives. Zeus is a famous pervert. Although you are his daughter, you may be attracted by him. When the time comes, he will definitely take advantage of you not paying attention and become the most proficient person. The image that makes you confused and fascinated approaches you. This is how Persephone lost her virginity back then. Another thing you must remember is that once you reveal your identity, you will definitely be involved in the disputes in Olympus. Among them, by then, there will be only two kinds of people for you on Olympus, one is your enemy, and the other is your enemy. You'd better keep my words in mind, lest you will suffer big losses in the future. Aphrodite warned. This goddess sister is relatively friendly to the Amazons. I think back then, when Hera created the Amazons, she worked with Hestia, Demeter, Aphrodite, Athena, and others. Strictly speaking, Aphrodite also she can be regarded as the creator of the Amazon family. Her husband will adopt an Amazon baby boy, and she obviously has contributed. Do I need to guard against you too? Diana asked. I'm not interested in your affairs, but my husband would be happy to meet your sister. You mean Vulcan? Yes, he is behind that door. You can go there to see him. Aphrodite pointed to the back door of the store. Diana wanted to see Vulcan, so she walked towards the door. Evan didn't follow Diana, he and Abigail stayed in the store. Kid, this is the doll you made. It's a pretty good achievement. Aphrodite pointed at Abigail and regarded it as a doll created by Evan. This magic doll was very exquisite and better than her. Most of the dolls I have seen are exquisite and seem to have built-in technology. Although it is now 1470, technology has developed and it is still in the Renaissance, but Aphrodite is well informed. Even she has seen a lot of aliens in the universe, so she naturally knows the concept of technology. Several people sat together and chatted about related topics. During this period, Aphrodite asked Evan to obtain this magic doll technology so that she could make several magic dolls for herself as maids. Evan simply exchanged some new magical knowledge with Aphrodite at the expense of this technology. As an ancient old god, Aphrodite is even older than those little blue men known as the Asgardians of the universe. As for the ability of magic, the longer you live, the more you master and the stronger your strength becomes. Evan exchanged a lot of magic knowledge from Aphrodite, including two more interesting magics, namely magic mark and price demand. The magic mark in it is very characteristic of the DC world. The magic in the DC world all comes from Hecate and the Hanged Man. Hecate and the Hanged Man are the masters of all magic in the DC world, and all the magic in this multi-universe also has the mark of these two. The group of old gods are the largest users of magic power. A long time ago, the old gods deceived Hecate together and obtained a large amount of magic power from each other, which deeply hurt Hecate's heart. It is not difficult to imagine that when Hecate comes again in the future, all magic users in DC will be liquidated, especially the old gods, and no one can escape. When the old gods faced Hecate, the magic creditor, they were almost unable to resist. Ahem, the topic has gone too far. The function of the magic mark is to leave its own mark on the magic power. Such magic power will become a recyclable resource, and the released magic power will be restored to magic power. As long as you rely on meditation skills, you can remove the magic power that has escaped. All the magic power is recovered without any loss. You can also lend this magic power to others, so that you can use the magic you ask for at a price to charge people who have used your magic power, or even harvest their souls. If Evan's magic power is imprinted by someone else, that's okay, because the person who imprints it first will have higher authority over the magic power. One day later, Evan and Diana said goodbye to the god of fire and the god of love, left this era, and lost the 1915 Shendu Island. Since men are not welcome on Paradise Island, Evan did not come out of Abigail's body this time and only controlled Abigail's activities on Paradise Island. Abigail appears on the shores of Paradise Island. A light flashed across her lower abdomen, and Diana emerged from the light and appeared next to Abigail. I never thought I would have the opportunity to return to my old hometown. Diana looked at the familiar environment around her, somewhat lost in thought. Paradise Island is very quiet and beautiful at night. Standing on the coast, you can still vaguely hear the singing of mermaids. Evan controlled Abigail to turn around and looked in the direction of the singing. He saw 3 mermaids resting on a reef a few kilometers away. If you ignore the sharp fangs in their mouths, they are still very beautiful. With such good teeth, these mermaids are probably carnivores, and they may have eaten humans. Are mermaids common here on your Paradise Island? Evan asked Diana through Abigail. No, they are not common at all. I have never seen them a few times since I was a child. I can only occasionally hear their songs. But as long as you follow the songs, you will find that they have left long ago, as if they were on purpose. Just like hiding from people on the shore. Diana shook her head. I'm going to see my mother and ask her about her story back then. Well, don't worry about me. You go ahead and I'll look around by myself. Chapter 97. For the next week, Evan stayed in the space inside Abigail's body and did not go out. He spent most of his time practicing here, and only a small amount of time controlled Abigail's activities in Chimiskila City on Paradise Island, and I met Diana in this time period, and by the way, she performed the mechanical version of shape-shifting, completing the time-closed loop. Abigail stayed on Paradise Island on the grounds that she accidentally ended up here in a shipwreck. Only Diana and Hippolyta in the future knew Abigail's true origins, and even Hippolyta knew Abigail's identity. There is a man in her body. She learned this from the future Diana's mouth. But since the man is Diana's friend and has not appeared to destroy the trajectory of Paradise Island, then as long as the man does not get out of Abigail's body, after coming out, Hippolyta pretended not to know. It wasn't until a week later that they left this era and returned to the normal timeline. The time was still that time, and to the people here, it was as if Evan and Diana had never left. After coming back, Abigail went back to the game world to do her own research. Although she was a robot, she also had her own pursuit, which was 08 evolution. Maybe one day in the future, Abigail can evolve to the level of a mechanical empress and create a digital kingdom similar to the game world. Superman flew all the way to Gotham, the brother city next door, and found Bruce Wayne here. However, due to the Kryptonian invasion of Earth last year, Bruce Wayne has always been wary of Superman, believing that he is a source of unrest. When Superman appeared in front of Bruce Wayne transformed into Batman on the spot, holding a kryptonite weapon that was developed at an unknown time, and aimed at Superman with a fierce output, which almost made Superman doubt his life. Superman, who was so powerful that he was almost defeated by Batman, was very dramatic. But I have to say that Superman's majestic and upright face can still give people a sense of I'm a good guy affinity. Although being beaten made Superman a little unhappy, Superman still ended up swiping his face. Made Batman stop the attack, and then told Batman about Lex Luthor's conspiracy. When Batman learned that Lex Luthor was using Kryptonian corpses for research and was about to create monsters, he temporarily let Superman go and said he would continue to keep an eye on Superman. After that, Batman began to borrow Superman's supervision to help him observe the Luthor Group lab, and then make a plan. With Batman acting as a strategist, Superman can easily become a super god. Lex Luthor, the current villain who is still relatively immature, is still unable to target the Justice League on his own. With the cooperation of Superman and Batman CP, he really can't make many waves. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, the Luthor Group's laboratory suddenly lost power. Due to the lack of power supply, Doomsday's cultivation process was interrupted. When Lex Luthor hurried to the laboratory to check the situation, Batman quietly appeared behind Luthor in an elusive manner and knocked him unconscious with a knife. Superman used super speed, which was invisible to the naked eye, to destroy all the research data in Luthor's laboratory and took away Doomsday's embryo. When Lex Luthor woke up again, he found himself in the detention room of the local police station. After questioning, he learned that he had been sued by an unknown mysterious person with a lot of evidence, most of which was illegal human experiments. The evidence is conclusive, even Lex Luthor will not be able to escape guilt for a while. Fortunately, he has only been prosecuted and detained, and has not been tried by the court. Before that, he still has time to find a scapegoat to exonerate himself. In the name of contacting a lawyer, he called the police officer responsible for guarding him, and called his sister Lena Luthor to ask for help. With the ability of the Luthor family, although Lex Luthor will definitely be able to get away with it, this incident will be enough to keep Lex Luthor busy for a while. In this way, the Doomsday incident was strangled in the cradle, and they also indirectly destroyed Steppenwolf's conspiracy. Doomsday's embryo was destroyed by Superman and Batman. After this cooperation, although Batman is still wary of Superman, he is no longer hostile. At the moment, the two of them were on a hill in the suburbs. Concerning Lex Luthor, I want to know where your information came from. Batman asked Superman. This morning, my cousin came to see me. She discovered Lex Luthor's conspiracy. I was worried that Luthor would take action against my mother, so I asked her to protect my mother. Later, my cousin's husband also came. He suggested that I go find you and work with you to deal with Lex Luthor. Superman is an honest person, and honest people don't lie. Superman didn't see Batman's true nature and thought he was a good person, so he told Batman about his cousin Kayla and her husband Evan. Not surprisingly, Batman kept Kayla and Evan in his notebook. Is your cousin also a Kryptonian? Well, her father is my father's brother, and she was sent to Earth before Krypton exploded. Where's Evan? He is from Earth, I don't know much about him. In the game world, the public area Malibu Beach is very lively tonight. Many players are here. They seem to be planning to organize a collective ghost exploration activity. There are many people participating in this event, and basically most of the 167-point players have participated, including Wanda, Gwen, and Judy. The timing of Evan's return was unfortunate. If he had come back a few minutes earlier, he might have been able to catch the event. But when he came back, they had already set off. Evan saw the resident phantom left by Wanda at home, and learned about it through the eloquence of the resident phantom. Since most players formed a team to download the dungeon together, the game world became deserted. Seeing that there was no one here, Evan was too lazy to stay here. He returned to DC Earth again and contacted Kayla, who was still here. Kayla already knew that her cousin had solved the problem and there was no need for her to stay in Kansas to protect Martha Kent, so she flew back to Metropolis to meet Evangelist. Most of the players teamed up to go to the exploration dungeon. There are no people in the game world, and there is no point in going back. Let's go on a date. Evan suggested. Where to go on a date? Kayla expressed her anticipation. I haven't thought about it yet, what do you think? Just go to the exploration dungeon, maybe you can go to a nice world. Okay. The two returned to the game world, entered team mode, and clicked to explore the dungeon. As players, they traveled to an unknown world. Chapter 98. This is an apartment suite that is not too spacious, but very cozy. Evan and Kayla appear here and check their new identities in this world through the game panel. They are husband and wife and live in an apartment building in the West Hollywood area of Los Angeles, California, the lighthouse of the world. The system not only assigned them identities here, but also assigned them a job. A non-famous bit player in Hollywood. That's what it says on the identity information. It's better not to give up this job. As long as you don't apply for a job on the set, you can pretend that this profession doesn't exist. Players who have come to the new world have a habit, which is to look at the time. Evan and Kayla both looked at the time flow rate displayed on the game panel. Soon, the two of them were often surprised. Time passes so fast in this world. One day in the Marvel world, this world can pass 100 years. Kayla. Did you and I want to get together? Well, since time flows so fast here and we don't grow old here, let's stay here for a while and extend our time together. Kayla looked forward to it. Okay. Evan agreed. Anyway, Evan also needs to practice the immortal art, so he just takes advantage of the fast flow of time here to practice for a while, and by the way, he and Kayla spend some time together. But before that, they still need to understand the background of this world. Evan took out a laptop from his dark pocket, sat on the sofa, put the laptop on the coffee table in front of him, turned it on and connected to the Wi-Fi network of his new home to check the basic situation of the world online. Kayla came over and sat next to Evan and looked at the screen together. She was also curious about the situation in the world. Evan checked online. The time in this world is 2006. Other than that, there's nothing special about it. There are no supernatural powers, and nothing special happens, but it looks like the world in Evan's previous life. If it weren't for the difference in time and details, Evan would have almost thought he had returned to his hometown in his previous life. It looks very ordinary here, but that's okay, let's live as ordinary people for a while. Kayla is beginning to look forward to living an ordinary life with Evan. When she thought about going to work every day and spending time with Evan after get off work, she looked forward to it. I always feel that the world is not as simple as it seems. Evan said. That's not important. What's important is life together. Kayla said. Yes, I promise to fulfill my duties as a husband and try to let you take maternity leave again. I don't want to have children. Kayla rolled her eyes. Laura was enough for her children, but she didn't want to have another one, so she changed the subject. Since you want to live an ordinary life, you need to find a job to make money first. Then let's start by finding a job. Even though Evan said this, he had no intention of working for others. Even if you have to work, you have to start your own business. Kayla searched around her new home and found her academic certificate, which showed that she graduated from the acting department of the California Institute of the Arts. This is obviously the identity assigned to her by the system in this world. Kayla's pretty face suddenly fell when she saw her diploma. Her acting skills have always been poor, and it would be too difficult for her to work in the film and television industry as an actress, and her dream is not to become a big star. Putting aside whether or not you can be popular, even if you really become a big star, some people will still have the trouble of being famous and having a lot of trouble. Rather than being a public figure, she prefers to be an inconspicuous ordinary person. So Kayla decided to change careers. She brought Evan's laptop and went online to look for jobs and submit resumes. Evan hugged her and sat aside, but his thoughts were not on that. He observes the world through quantum observation skills, trying to find the special features of this world. However, quantum observation is not from God's perspective. Although there is no limit to the observation distance, the area that can be observed at the same time is not large. Under the premise of knowing nothing, using this method to find anomalies in the world is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack. Evan observed for a long time and found nothing unusual. It's like the world is really ordinary. But his intuition told Evan that this world was anything but ordinary. The reason why he didn't find it was just because he didn't look in the right place. Evan decided not to observe for now. He planned to set up a practice room at home first. You should take your time to find a job first. I'll set up a practice room at home. Go. This apartment is not big, with 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, about 110 square meters. The second room is a file-size bedroom, and the other room is a study room. Evan came to the study, used magic to expand the space of the study, and used secondary creation to add bricks and tiles to the place, and separated a room as a practice room. He used Feng Kaokuman combined with the 5th magic to set up a time distortion formation in this room. This formation distorts the time inside the room and expands the time in the area, which means the time flow in the room accelerates. When people are in an area where time is accelerating, they cannot perceive that time is accelerating. Only by looking from the inside out can they see that time outside is slowing down. This is a relative effect. This formation can give Evan more time to practice. 1 day on Earth can be spent in the formation for a month. In addition, the time flow rate in this plane is very fast, which creates a double time dilation effect. After finishing the practice room, Evan returned to the living room. Kayla has found a job online and is now going for an interview. My dear, I'm going for an interview and will come back later. What's the job? Evan asked her. Clerical job in a film and television company, office-based job. Anyway, I'm leaving first, Wang Hoseo. After she finished speaking, she was about to leave. Are you going to go there like this? Evan pointed to Kayla's clothes. Kayla looked down and saw that it was casual clothes. If she wore this to an interview, it would definitely leave a bad impression on the interviewer. So Kayla asked Evan to help her change her clothes into formal wear. Evan also created a resume for Kayla to take. After Kayla left, Evan went to the practice room, pulled a wire from the bolt here, and connected it to himself. A feeling of electric shock followed. If ordinary people dared to play like this, they would definitely be electrocuted to death. But Evan needs external energy supplements to transform into his own experience. Because the immortal art he practices is a modified version of the system demon, which can transform all forms of energy in the world into his own cultivation. In modern society, there is no energy better than electricity. Chapter 99. As electrical energy continues to pour into Evan's body, the sea of suffering in his dantian is being opened up. In the process, his demand for energy is also increasing. A large amount of electrical energy poured into his body along the wires connected to his body. This feeling is like recharging myself. The time outside gradually came to 4 p.m., but Evan had been practicing in the time-distorted practice room for 7 or 8 days. As if he was cheating, he had perfected the sea of suffering in his dantian. It has to be said that the skills that have been magically modified by the system are cheating when practiced. Ordinary monks, when practicing this system, even if they drink Biko liquid that can assist their practice every day, they will not be able to achieve perfection in the sea of suffering within a few years. But Evan only took a mere 7 or 8 days in the time distortion zone to cultivate the sea of suffering to the great perfection, and could break through the life spring at any time. The method of covering the sky mainly focuses on the secret realm and excavates the secrets of the human body. There are 4 stages in the realm of the will and sea, namely the sea of suffering, the spring of life, the divine bridge, and the other shore. When you reach the other shore through cultivation, the secret realm of the will and sea will be considered Dzogchen. Evan estimates that if he practices like this, he will be able to complete the practice in the secret realm of the will and sea in just 1 month. After walking out of the practice room, Evan looked at his electricity meter and found that his practice just used a total of 3,400 kilowatt-hours of electricity at home. If calculated as 5 cents per kilowatt-hour, he spent a total of $1,700 on this practice. Sure enough, no matter how cheating you are, it still costs money to practice something like this. Evan complained. It is not safe to continue to consume power like this. A very ordinary family consumes a lot of electricity every day, which is abnormal no matter how you look at it. It may not be a problem in the short term, but over time it will definitely attract attention from outside. Evan is not afraid of trouble, but this will definitely disturb his and Kayla's peaceful life. Evan decided to use the arc reactor technology hacked from Tony Stark to make a reactor for his daily practice. The arc reactor requires metal palladium and some special metal materials. Evan tried to use secondary creation to create a small arc reactor out of thin air, but failed as expected. The miracle effect of secondary creation is actually very weak, and it can only be used to create some ordinary and unmysterious things. Although the arc reactor is not mysterious, it is not ordinary. Evan could only do the next best thing and create the materials needed for the arc reactor first. This time it worked. Then he used alchemy, which is known as the most powerful productivity in the magic world, on these materials to change the form of these materials, and then assembled them into a small arc reactor. Not long after, the small arc reactor was lit. This file-sized thing can generate enough electricity to power the entire Los Angeles for a week. The total amount of electricity is exaggerated. At this time Kayla came back. Judging by the angry look on her face, it was obvious that the interview failed, and she probably encountered something that would make her angry. Damn it, I'm so angry. The guy who interviewed me is a pervert. He actually hinted that as long as I sleep with him for 1 night, he will let me pass the interview. Kayla said angrily. When facing a guy like that, you should beat him hard. I didn't beat him, but I loudly and publicly exposed the fact that he wanted to hide the rules from me in that company. Even if he wasn't fired, he would definitely die. Kayla said in relief. Evan immediately gave Kayla a thumbs up. Well done. Although it's a relief, I still failed in the interview. Don't be discouraged. We have a long time to come. We can just slowly find a job after that. The next day, Kayla continued her search for a job and submitted her resume. While Evan was watching TV while practicing, a piece of news attracted his attention. This is related news about Frederick Taylor, the former Secretary of Defense of the Lighthouse Nation. What is the news content? Evan did not pay attention to ICE. He mainly paid attention to the other party's name. Frederick Taylor, isn't this the wall facer in the 3-body story? Did Kayla and I come to the 3-body plane? Evan thought to himself. In order to verify this, Evan took out his laptop and turned on the internet, searching for the names of many related characters to see if they existed. Dr. Ding Yi exists. Dr. Wang Miao exists. British scientist Bill Hines exists. As the character information in the three-body stories was searched out one after another, Evan finally determined that this was the three-body plane. Evan closed his laptop and couldn't help but fell into deep thought. Although the three-body plane is dangerous, as long as you don't wander around in the universe, there will be basically no problem, at least for the next few hundred years. I remember that the Tri-Solaran Safon arrived on Earth in 2005. It's 2006 now. At this point in time, Dr. Yang Dong has not yet committed suicide. Next year will be when the three-body story officially begins. Today, the Tri-Solaran Sons of Man monitor human civilization on Earth, but they do not launch many Safons onto the Earth, at least not yet. Those Safons can move at a speed close to light, monitor the more important players in human civilization, as well as scientists, and incidentally interfere with human particle collision experiments. Tomoko adopts a ignoring attitude towards ordinary people and does not monitor ordinary people. Otherwise, there are so many humans on the Earth, and even if Safons can move at a speed close to light, a few Safons will definitely not be able to monitor them. As long as Evan and Kayla don't do anything eye-catching, they won't attract any attention. But on the other hand, once they are paid attention to by Tomoko, there will be some trouble. Evan is not sure whether his magic can block the observation of protons. After all, the way protons observe the material world is from a higher dimension. Faced with such a small thing, even if Evan can observe it with supervision, there may not be a good way to deal with it. Maybe you can try to use Magneto's ability to create a magnetic field to capture Safons. But whether it will succeed, Evan is not sure. But even if Tomoko can't be captured or shielded, it doesn't mean that Evan can't avoid Tomoko's sight. If he was really targeted by Tomoko, he could take Kayla and teleport to another place, change his face and start a new life. Then it would not be easy for Tomoko to find them again. The above content is quite a lot, but these thoughts were thought over by Evan in just a moment. He came to the conclusion that there was no need to be cautious because of the existence of Safons. Anyway, both he and Kayla, who had been strengthened by him, could perceive and see the existence of Safons with supervision. If there were really Safons monitoring them, they would definitely be able to notice it immediately. Chapter 100. Thanks to Asalon and Fenjiuhantian for their monthly votes, Kayla's journey of submitting her resume and finding a job finally came to an end on the 8th day. She found a job as a reporter at a media company. Kayla, who has a job, and Evan, who has been staying at home without a job, form a sharp contrast. It's as if Evan is supported by his wife's money. Although the real situation is not like this, outsiders will definitely not think so. If someone asks Kayla in the future, "What does your husband do?" how should Kayla answer? If she said this, others would probably regard her husband as a soft-boiled guy. Rumors are not very harmful, but they are extremely insulting. In order to avoid rumors, Evan recreated his own path to fortune in the Marvel world. He summoned Abigail and asked her to help him buy and sell in the stock market to earn startup capital for himself, and then opened a film and television company outside, leaving all the work in front of the CEO who acted like a hands-off boss. Abigail the tool man. Abigail knew Evan's process of making a fortune and thought it was of great reference. Abigail, a human simulation robot, worked as a literary porter, personally copied other worlds' film and television scripts, spent money to form a crew, and recruited directors and actors to make movies. Evan only needs to be named CEO of this film and television company. In this way, when he introduces himself to others, when others hear that he is the CEO of a certain film and television company, they will immediately look up to him. When Kayla introduces her husband to others, she is not embarrassed and speechless. Perfect. Time, a month passed like this. Evan's cultivation has successfully broken through to the great perfection stage of the Will and See realm, and he can break through the secret realm of the Deo Palace at any time. If the secret realm of the Will and See is about cultivating the Danshan, then the secret realm of the Deo Palace is about cultivating the 5 internal organs of the heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys, giving birth to the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, and the gods of the Tao Palace, and cultivating wonderful magical powers. Today, Evan did not continue practicing. He had an idea. He plans to use his own system to create a new game in the 3-body plane to change the fate of people in the 3-body plane and earn redemption points. He is not going to copy the routine of the Marvel superhero game, and plans to change his style. Later, we will open up the barriers between the 2 games so that players of the 2 games can visit each other. Evan clicked on the game editor of the portable system and started designing the game. The first is the core gameplay of the game. Only when the gameplay is determined can we add bricks and tiles to the skeleton called gameplay. Evan created the first scene in the new game based on the style of Super Seminary. This scene is named Crimson Magic Academy. The purpose of this academy's existence is to popularize magic to humans on Earth in the three-body plane. Definitely, the magic mentioned here is based on the premise that Evan lends magic power to people in this world. Let players use this magic power to learn magic knowledge first, and then spread magic to all mankind in reality. Evan can produce his own magic power. As long as his vitality is not exhausted, the magic power will be endless. Even if he lends his magic power to all mankind, it will definitely be enough. When all humans in the three-body plane are using Evan's magic power, Evan can become the magic creditor of all humans. At that time, he can easily control the fate of human civilization by extorting the price, allowing humans to get rid of the dilemma of the original time and space, and obtain a better future. As for spreading magic, what should we do if Tri-Solarans steal it? Just learn secretly. It would be even better if the Tri-Solaran civilization collectively relied on meditation to communicate and Evan borrowed magic power. At that time, the Tri-Solaran civilization will be captured by Evan without hesitation, and all their technologies can be browsed by Evan at will. Evan is very greedy for the various high-tech technologies of the Tri-Solaran civilization. The more he thought about it, the more likely he felt that this plan was possible. The Crimson Magic Academy has been generated. The style of this college is very similar to that of Super Seminary, but the two are not the same thing. Currently, this new game only has this one scene, but it's enough. If necessary in the future, you can add it at any time on the grounds of version update. The name of this new game was named by Evangelist. Crimson Magic World. The name Scarlet came from the fact that Evan happened to think of Wanda when he was creating this game, so he simply borrowed the word Scarlet from Scarlet Witch. Evan entered the Magic Academy of the Crimson Magic World game. There is currently no one here, not even an NPC. After arriving here, Evan generated an NPC based on the appearance of Lenora, the full moon queen of Realukalaya Kingdom in Elden's Circle, and asked her to act as a magic lecturer here, and use a small amount of her knowledge to some of the less powerful magic is shared with the NPC Lenora, making her responsible for teaching the older students who are about to enter here. 01201370150802406137 NPC Lenora expressed understanding. Evan explained some precautions to the NPC. Just like that, the closed beta version of this new game was released. Although it is said to be a game, players who come here will not realize that this is a game world, because this game does not have a player panel, and the environment here is extremely real. When players come here, they will only think that they have traveled through time. Now, all we have to do is bring new players here. Evan quits the game and returns home. He used Resident Phantom and Life Essence to create a real phantom with a collision volume in front of him. The phantom did not use Evan's own image, but borrowed Wanda's image. Evan was multitasking. He sat down and continued to practice. While practicing, he controlled this real phantom to activate the random door and teleport to the rabbit country. Yang Dong is Ye Wenji's daughter. She is a scientist in theoretical physics and studies mostly cutting-edge things. In recent days, Yang Dong has been confused and has thoughts of committing suicide. Yang Dong originally had a basic belief: life and the world may be ugly, but at the micro and macro levels they are harmonious and perfect. The everyday world is just a bubble floating on this perfect surface. But now it seems that the daily world has become a beautiful appearance, and the micro and macro it contains may be more chaotic and ugly. This is terrible. The results of that experiment told her that physics may have never existed. In fact, she can live without physics. She can choose an industry that has nothing to do with theoretical physics, get married and have children, and live her life peacefully like every woman. But such a life, for someone like her, maybe he only has half his life left. In fact, not everyone has the opportunity to pursue their ideals. The vast majority of people in the world actually live a half-life. But what really made Yang Dong have suicidal thoughts was another important incident. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.